Welcome everybody to our eclipse video in powerful Pisces for 2025. I'm so happy you've joined me here for this video. It is a beautiful, dreamy, rainy day where I am recording this video, and I feel that spirit is moving as we're joining together to look at the energies of this amazing eclipse. Now this is a total lunar eclipse in Pisces at 15 degrees of Pisces. This is occurring in some parts of the world on the 7th of September and in other parts of the world on the 8th of September. So do check where that is. It's only sort of really the Australian Eastern Standard Time, maybe a little bit into other parts of Australasia, that it's going to be on the 8th. Most of the world will see it happening on the 7th of September. But essentially, an eclipse, just to explain it here on the board, is an opposition between the sun and the moon. And so that is what a full moon is for those who don't know. And so we've got the sun in Virgo and the moon opposite in Pisces, giving us a full moon total lunar eclipse. Now, this eclipse stands to be auspicious for anyone with important points in their chart conjunct with or within about a 5-degree orb of 15 degrees of Pisces. Your life is about to be completely transformed on so many levels. Now, in the words of the WWF, are you ready? I am. I'm ready. I'm so ready for this eclipse. I've been looking forward to this eclipse all year long. What is it going to bring us? Now, in this video, there is just so much to talk about that is going to change our lives. We're going to explore in this video the nature of lunar eclipses, what they bring in general, the general energy of a full moon in Virgo, the chart of this particular eclipse and all the energies that are playing into what is going to unfold. So it's certainly worth listening to the introduction. The Saros cycle of this eclipse as well, which is a very important component of any eclipse, where the eclipse is going to be visible on the earth and what that actually means, and the basic effects of this eclipse's energy for each and every sign. We're going to do an all signs breakdown. But as I do for every single eclipse video that I produce here, my Patreon family members will be getting an extended personal all signs breakdown for this report, exploring how the eclipse is going to affect them personally in greater depth than I have the time to go into here on YouTube. So this time, my bronze, silver, and gold star Patreon family members will receive, in addition to what you're getting on YouTube, they're also going to get an explanation of the nature of full moons and what they do in our lives, how to work with the coming 2 weeks of waning moon energy that follows on from this full moon eclipse, what happens if you have key planets conjunct with or aspecting this eclipse. I have Jupiter in a conjunction with this eclipse, which is, I'm just so excited about this, but it is my Patreon family members that will get the information about any planets that you have personally interacting with this eclipse. My Patreon family will also get extended information about what this eclipse will be doing for each and every sign. So we're going to greater depth for them. Plus, they'll also get an exploration of the key Vedic astrology yogas that are at play for each sign in this eclipse chart. Some signs are really going to have their socks blown off in the best possible way through the yogas that are forming from this very auspicious eclipse. I cannot wait to talk about them with you, my beautiful friends. So please consider joining the Patreon family. The link's in the description below. Look, with the way the draconian media regulations are going at the moment, it may not be long before the only truthful information that you can trust will be coming off other platforms that aren't owned by Meta, like YouTube's owned by Meta, Facebook, Instagram, and so on. Even TikTok has been bought by Meta. So, I actually feel, and just as a little aside, I know some people don't like me doing this, but it's my YouTube channel, so I'll do it. I'm also sure that YouTube is actually shadow banning people like myself and my husband David's chart as well, because they don't like the information that we present and they want to promote their own choice people instead, and people who align with their chosen media narrative. real presenters who want to share different perspectives and different points of view, real presenters who haven't been corrupted by the mainstream narrative, will soon have to go, let's call it underground, and indeed they are already going underground to private platforms to share their content, so that they're not shadow banned and they're not having fact checkers, banning their work and so on and so on. As such, with that in mind, it is worth thinking about where you might like to get your information from going forward into the future that is unfolding currently on the planet, and whether you can trust the Meta-owned media for the truth. Certainly is something to think about. At the Guiding Star family, you can join and get information from me. I will be putting more and more, I'm feeling the call from the universe actually to put more and more of my information to my Patreon family rather than to YouTube. And so at the Guiding Star family, you can join for a month, you can join for a year, you can join indefinitely, and you'll learn so much and be so richly blessed by joining our beautiful Guiding Star family of astro lovers. And you'll also support the production of real astrology videos for your guidance and your blessing. And don't worry, I'm not going to overshare about all my offerings here in this eclipse video, but I will mention that if you adore learning astrology, but you aren't quite ready to commit to doing the long-term Royal Stars Academy, well, I have launched 2 short courses that come out of my Royal Stars Academy. They are called All About Eclipses and Understanding the Nodes of the Moon. And just in time for eclipse season, I am sharing those on my Learn Astrology page. They're on sale, and together they're going to give you a total of around 20 hours of fabulous video tutorials and workbooks covering everything that you could possibly want to know about eclipses and the nodes and how they work in your life personally. Now, this includes an exploration of what the nodes are, the delay of nodal maturation, what the nodal yoga is, balancing the nodes in your life, nodal return, nodal reversal, nodal square, nodes in natal signs, nodes transiting natal signs, nodes in natal houses, nodes transiting the houses, north node in the natal chart when it conjuncts a planet, what does that mean? South node in the natal chart when it conjuncts a planet, what does that mean? Transiting north node when it crosses a planet, what does that mean? Transiting south node when it crosses a planet, what does that mean? Skipped steps, nodal benders, and the shamanic astrology perspective on the nodes, as well as the Brigabindu point. And that's just the class on the nodes of the moon. There's also the course or class on the eclipses, where we look at what eclipses are, what eclipses do, the 4 types of eclipses, the Metonic and Saros cycles, solar eclipses conjunct natal planets, lunar eclipses conjunct natal planets, solar and lunar eclipses through the houses, and eclipse gateways. Phew, I feel exhausted just telling you about all that's in these 2 amazing courses. They're best bought together, but you can buy them separately. Nodes of the moon or eclipses. These are enormous courses, or enormous short courses, that will take you deeper into the energy of eclipse season more than anything else you will find. So come and join me as we explore the celestial heights together. The link for these courses or to the Learn Astrology page at my website is in the description to this video. And that is enough of me sharing what is available for any astro lovers out there who want to go deeper. And now let's dive into this eclipse. Lunar eclipses, which is what a full moon eclipse is, they usually trigger events within a week either side of the eclipse in traditional Western astrology. They use this week guide to give you some parameters around when eclipse season starts. But according to my teachers, there's a method of calculation for the full moon eclipse activation period that actually means we have been in the full moon eclipse activation phase since the 26th of August. And that activation period will last until the 21st of September for this lunar eclipse. There, of course, will be a solar eclipse following this one that has a different activation phase. Okay, so keep an eye out for significant events that have unfolded since the 26th of August and that will continue to perhaps unfold until the 21st of September. Around the 2nd of September, we will go into the activation phase for the Virgo eclipse that's coming up. That's a new moon eclipse. So around the 2nd of September, we're going to see the general energies that we're feeling intensify because we'll be in the activation phase of 2 eclipses, the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse from that point. Things could really heat up around the 2nd of September. There'll also be a crossover activation period between the two eclipses. So on the 7th of September, we've got this lunar eclipse forming, and then we're going to have the new moon eclipse. The period between that is called the eclipse gateway, and I'll talk about that in future videos. Interestingly, just before an eclipse occurs, there has been recorded by scientific method a drop in the Earth's electromagnetic emissions. And because we are energy receptors as human beings, we receive electromagnetic impulses from the universe, and so we could really notice things in our physical being because of the drop in the Earth's electromagnetic emissions. So be prepared for maybe feeling a little bit wobbly or emotional or unstable in some way because of this energy that shifts and changes with the drop in electromagnetic emissions. Now, in mundane astrology, which is world astrology, world events astrology, lunar eclipses usually affect the masses because the moon represents the people and the sun represents the leadership. So solar eclipses, which is the new moon eclipse, they're rarer than these lunar eclipses, which is the full moon eclipse. Lunar eclipses are usually visible from up to 50% of the area of the Earth, and I'll show you a map of where this eclipse is going to form shortly. So lunar eclipses affect larger swathes of people, but the solar eclipses, the new moon eclipses, affect the leadership, and they're much more streamlined in their influence sector. We'll see this when we look at the map coming up further on in this video. But any changes that come with a lunar eclipse will be caused from the inside out. Inner changes that beget external changes in the world now. So it's time for doing a bit of introspective thinking. What have you been feeling since we entered into the eclipse activation phase? What have you been letting go of or wrangling with in your inner world since even you could consider the last lunation, which was the new moon at 0 degrees of Virgo? What have you been dealing with since that point? It's been a wild ride, certainly in my life. What about you? Now, some astrological texts indicate that a full moon eclipse is felt stronger by people who were born at night, because people who were born at night are ruled by the luminary, the moon, rather than people who were born by the day, ruled by the sun. So if you were born at night, when the sun had sunk below the horizon, you may feel the energetic pull of this eclipse more so than others. In a full moon eclipse, anything that finishes in your life will remain finished. It will remain closed to you. You will not go back. I have lost friendships. I have lost jobs. They're the two main things I'm thinking of that have, and actually I have lost people, loved ones out of my life through passing and the light dimming around them at the time of eclipses on significant points in my chart. And of course, I've never gone back. Those friendships have ended forever. Those jobs are done and dusted forever. And people who have passed over to the other side are no longer present in my life. So very much the energy that something is finishing, something is ending. We will not go back. The energy is also about realigning with your purpose and your intent for incarnation now. And that is because this full moon is forming in a conjunction with the north node of the moon. The north node takes us into our purpose and our destiny and our mission for life. Anything that is superfluous to that mission in life that we have, that purpose that we have, we will tend to let go of. We will tend to walk away from. We will say this is not part of my journey anymore, and we leave it behind. Full moon eclipses bring that about. So remember, my friends, always act with kindness and forgiveness, because you may be the one that somebody else is letting go of as they move into their meaning and their purpose. And that's okay. You know, we don't owe anything to anyone. I say this in every eclipse video, but we don't owe anything to anyone, and neither do we owe anyone anything other than kindness. So if you need to break something off with someone, be kind about it. If you need to end a friendship, be kind about it. If you need to say, I'm sorry, but you no longer have a job here, how can you do it in the most kindly manner possible? This includes, my friends, being kind to ourselves. If we need to walk away from something, if we need to say enough is enough, we owe that to ourselves to be kind to ourselves. So we need to open up our hearts, allow in what needs to take place. Don't fight it. Go with the flow. Let the universe bring in what it needs to bring in. And if something is being released out of our life, we need to allow that to go too. In fact, by letting go, it's the correct time to let go of things so that the new that wants to be formed has space to enter into our energetic being. So it can be an emotional time because we are opening up and allowing to release what needs to be released and to bring in what needs to be brought in. It can be an emotional time, but life's endings also herald life's new beginnings. That's just a very well-known principle. Now, some people, all of us actually, will receive potentially some news of big events that will affect our life for many weeks to come, possibly up to 6 months to come, because we're in this full moon activation, and it's going to be activated between the 26th of August to the 21st of September, but then it will play out for us over the following 6 months until we next have another lunar eclipse. So we might get some news in this activation phase that's going to affect us, and it will continue to play out for the 6 months subsequently after this eclipse occurs. Now, often we will receive some news, or there'll be a random event that we didn't expect, especially as this eclipse is falling with the North Node. The North Node has kind of like the energy of Uranus, and it's very hungry. So this gives the effect of an eclipse with the North Node wanting to liberate us in some area of life, wanting to guide us back to our truth and back to our authenticity, and we're hungry for it. So random events come in, some news comes in, and it triggers the whole process that unfolds in the following subsequent 6 months. Sometimes also, and I've seen this happen so many times in my own life, the true character of someone may often be revealed, be shown to you. You might have thought someone was a certain way, and then something happens during eclipse activation period, and you're like, oh my God, how was I ever friends with that person? Look at the way they behave. Look at the way they treat other people. How did I never see that? So the true character of people can be revealed, sometimes for the first time, and it may not be pretty. So be prepared for that eventuality as well. And if it does happen, you'll know why. The eclipse is showing you, illuminating for you, shining a light on something that you may have overlooked. Also, my friends, pay attention to all events and news and gossip and interactions that happen within the eclipse activation season, activation period, because they will be important in your life. Now, as I'm recording this video, we have just moved into the activation period. And my God, did I receive the biggest dump of news and revelations and information from the universe about where I live, the city I live, some of the things that are going on in the town that I live in, and how it is affecting my home, my family. Oh my God, I cannot believe it. It's already happening in my life. It is big, my friends. So pay attention to whatever is coming in from now on. If this eclipse is falling on your sun placement, so you have your sun at 15 degrees of Virgo in your chart, well, it's your birthday. Happy birthday. But it's going to be a key year in the course of your life. Things are going to shift momentously because you will carry this chart of the eclipse with you as your solar return. Very, very powerful. This happened for me in 2018, and this was the year I was forced by the universe to make astrology my main career goal, after doing it as a sort of sideline job for quite some time. And I'm so grateful that happened, but it came about through rather circumstances that cause a lot of upheaval. So be prepared. Life is going to shift momentously for you if this is falling on your birthday. Also, if you are a Cancer rising, sun or moon placement person, you can be more affected by this eclipse because, as we've already discussed, the moon rules your sign. We discussed it for a night chart birth. This is the moon ruling Cancer, your sun, moon or rising sign. Very powerfully felt for Cancer people. It is a climactic time, as full moons always are, but this is, as you'll hear many astrologers say, a full moon on steroids. And what unfolds now will be the climax of something that has been building in your life for possibly quite a while. In some cases, since the last set of eclipses that happened in this Saros cycle 18 years ago. And we're going to talk about the Saros cycle coming up shortly in this video. But something might have been playing out for you that began 18 years ago, or was shifting for you 18 years ago, that is reaching its fruit or its completion of its cycle now. So do take some time, pause the video if you need to, and think about what was happening in your life 18 years ago. Where were you at? What was unfolding that is now seemingly repeating or manifesting for you in some way? So 7th or 8th of September, lunar eclipse in Pisces at 15 degrees. What does the chart of this eclipse look like, and what does it mean for us? Well, firstly, and I'll go through all these things, I'll list out what's in the chart, and then I'll go through what they mean for us individually. Okay, so the first thing is that the north node of the moon is only 3 degrees from the moon, and that means they're very tight, very close, and so this effect of this full moon eclipse is very strong. I'll talk about that in a minute. There is also a trine to the ruler of this eclipse, which is Jupiter. In fact, this is very important. I'll talk about this further in just a second. But Jupiter rules Pisces, where this eclipse is forming, and Jupiter is almost by degree, actually. It's only 4 degrees difference in trine to the moon itself. That's very lovely. We also have this moon in a conjunction with a fixed star, the fixed star Akana. This eclipse is also at 15 degrees, which according to the degree theory of Nicholas Stoyanovich, God rest his soul, is at the degree of Gemini. That carries certain information for us as well. Not only that, but Jupiter and the moon are in what they call mutual reception by sign. So that is called a Parivartana yoga in Vedic astrology. I will be talking more about this as we go along. But the moon, which rules Cancer, is in Jupiter's sign Pisces, and Jupiter, which rules Pisces, is in the moon sign Cancer. It's a mutual exchange, mutual reception, Parivartana yoga. Not only that, but Jupiter and the moon are in mutual reception by their triplicity placement as well. Very powerful. Triplicity Parivartana yoga, or triplicity mutual reception, however you want to call it, and sign mutual reception. So it's double whammy energy of mutual reception. This is very auspicious. And this is one of the causes of all the very beneficial yogas that are forming with this eclipse for almost every sign that I will be discussing in the extended version of this video that my Patreon family will receive. Finally, this is also happening at the ancient lunar mansion number 25, and that has certain energies that it will be bringing to us as well. So now that I've listed all the formations that are happening in this eclipse chart, let's break down what they all mean. Firstly, the eclipse is only 3 degrees from the north node. This is very powerful. As I've mentioned already, the north node is hungry. It wants to get something. It wants more of something. So an eclipse with the north node can bring something new into your life. Something, not only is the full moon eclipse like I described like a releasing and a letting go, but it's because it's with the north node, something's coming in. Something is entering into your life. The north node eclipses, as I said, also carry the energy of Uranus. So get ready for a surprise, for a shock, for like, oh my God, how did that happen? Where did that come from? I didn't expect this. Far out, Brussels sprout. Surprise, surprise, shock, shock. Also, an eclipse with the north node will have the effect of liberating you in some area of life, and as I've already mentioned, will guide you back to your truth. I do love eclipses that form with the north node. I want to receive as much as I like to release, and thank God the north node brings things in. Hopefully it will be things of blessing for everybody watching this video. The next thing that is very important to note with this eclipse chart is that the ruler of the eclipse is Jupiter. As I've mentioned, Jupiter is in Cancer at 19 degrees in his exaltation sign, his most powerful energy, making the governance of this eclipse very strong and very benevolent because it's being governed by a benefic planet in its strongest position in the wonderful sign of Cancer for Jupiter. So he will also be trining to this eclipse, which is a gorgeous energy for manifestation. Let's talk about that now. Jupiter is in trine to the eclipse. This brings in an energy of feeling very comfortable with who we are. It can bring in a lot of internal satisfaction, which, God help us, we all really need that internal peace that may manifest from this combination right now. Some of us might feel a little lazy rather than ambitious and driven, because a trine from Jupiter to Jupiter feels like, trine not from Jupiter to Jupiter, trine from Jupiter to the moon makes us feel like, peace in our soul, peace in our emotions. But I tell you what, I know I am certainly ready for that energy to flow into my life. Bring it on. It is a really good time for parties. It's a really good time for socializing when Jupiter trines the eclipse like this. It's an excellent time for holidays and traveling. Relationships with women, particularly maternal type women, older women, can go very well now and actually be very beneficial for you. It's through knowing some woman or your mother figure or a grandmother or someone maternal that you can be blessed as a result of this eclipse being in a trine with Jupiter. If you're a woman and you're experiencing this transit, you might actually feel a loving bond with other women. And in fact, this morning it was so interesting to me as I was in sort of a prayer state before I got up. I felt my Nana's presence very, very strong with me, which I think is very pertinent to what I'm talking about here. Even women who've crossed over are going to feel very close to you now. Many of you might feel bonded with another woman, if you're a woman watching this, in some powerful way too. Friendships can be very gratifying with a trine from Jupiter. Domestic activities, home renovation, sale of homes, any kind of promotion of homes can go really, really well. Jupiter expands things beyond what you thought could be the case. Jupiter is the biggest planet. So if you're dealing with any home issues, home renovation issues, domestic activity issues, family issues right now, they can go better than what you anticipated. We can also feel more kind and compassionate. We are empathetic souls when we have this beautiful benevolent interaction between the full moon eclipse and Jupiter. Our spiritual faith and even our psychic ability can be enhanced because of this as well. It goes to the next level. We might get a lot of popularity as well, and a lot of appreciation in our public endeavors. Whatever that looks like in your life might actually succeed more and be more well received because Jupiter is in trine to the eclipse. And of course, the moon actually in the rulership of Cancer, and Jupiter sitting in the moon's rulership, emphasizes, by when they're trining one another like this, farming, gardening, cooking, and nurturing exercises. They become profitable and productive and successful. So for many people who've been, doing a bit of backyard farming or having some chickens or growing your garden, it's going to be really fulfilling as a result of the energies that play out from this eclipse and the seeds that are sown. Metaphor, but also literal, under this eclipse energy, with this eclipse energy. And I do talk about gardening with this particular full moon in my Patreon family video if you would like to know more about gardening with the moon, which is always a very interesting topic. Now, I mentioned that this full moon eclipse is conjunct the fixed star Achernar. Achernar is the star at the end of the river Eridanus in the constellation of Eridanus the river. It's a very southern star. It can't be seen from much of the northern hemisphere, but when it's projected onto the ecliptic plane, it is conjunct with this particular eclipse. And I actually have my Jupiter in conjunction with this star, and I notice the qualities of this star very prominently in my life. Achernar possesses the nature of Jupiter. And some people say it has a dash of Mars, Uranus, surprising, rebellious, volatile character as well. And when you have Achernar well placed in your chart, like conjunct with the first house lord or on the ascendant, midheaven, descendant, or IC, or with your sun and moon, Achernar promises happiness and success because it gives good morals. It gives, to quote the ancients, faithful adherence to one's religious beliefs or a philosophical inclination. Now, according to tradition, Achernar is credited with giving people high offices in things like the church and any religious organization. So it's often seen prominently in the charts of people with high spiritual positions in the world. And interestingly enough, for those who love to work with the fixed stars as I do, Achernar rules the center of the left foot. Of course, because it's in the sign of Pisces when projected onto the ecliptic plane, and Pisces rules the feet. Now, there's a legend that accompanies the fixed star Achernar. Eridanus represents the river that Phaeton fell into when he was slain by Jupiter or Zeus for having set the world on fire by misguiding the chariot of his father Apollo. You're not familiar with the ancient mythology, the ancient legend? You know what? It's so ironic. The universe is hilarious. I have been thinking so much about this legend over the past month, not realizing, not putting two and two together, that this eclipse was falling on Achernar, the river that Phaeton fell into. I've just been contacting my girlfriends and discussing this particular mythology and what it means celestially for us in the sky for the last couple of months, and so I was so delighted to see it featuring in this particularly beautiful eclipse chart. I believe Phaeton still exists energetically in the skies, but I believe he's scattered and in pieces now after his destruction. And someday, when human consciousness rises to a pure state once more, if hopefully it ever does, fingers and toes crossed for that one, probably not in our lifetime, but hopefully it does at some stage, we will see the restoration of Phaeton as an astral body again due to our rising consciousness, and again all his beautiful innocence and purity before his greed for power, the control of the chariot of the sun, before his greed for power smashed him apart. Isn't that a message for humanity? The return to innocence, the return to purity in our consciousness, and letting go of power and greed that is destroying and smashing things apart. To me, this eclipse, in conjunction with Achernar in the river Eridanus, is a reminder of the need to collectively raise our consciousness to a level of kindness and love, even when people are outrageously rude on YouTube. Kesenya reminded herself. So it's a return to kindness and love that we might heal and restore peace on the planet again. To my mind, because of this legend and all that's wrapped up in this is one of the key messages of this eclipse through the fixed star Achernar. Now, according to Ptolemy, all the stars in the river Eridanus, with the exception of Achernar, carry the energy of Saturn. But Achernar carries the energy of Jupiter because it's at the head of the river. And Eridanus, as a constellation, gives a love of knowledge, a love of science, much travel, many changes, and positions of authority in the world. And when we have Achernar in a conjunction with the full moon eclipse, it can bring about, especially if you've got personal planets here, preferment in the public eye, in public affairs, preferment in writing. And if you write something or produce something of a communicative sort, it will get recognition. Not only that, but a conjunction with Achernar by the eclipse helps give empathy for the less fortunate. And my God, we really need that. We really need that on the planet right now. It brings out leadership qualities that are gracious leadership qualities, benevolent leadership qualities. And you might find that you're able to express yourself personally, leadership qualities and empathy through your literature that you write or the music that you produce. Or if you're in charge of a group of people and leading a group of people, there is more empathy in your leadership because of the nature of the fixed star conjunct with this eclipse. Don't you just love it? Fixed stars, endlessly fascinating, endlessly beautiful. Now, not only that, my gorgeous friends, but we have the full moon eclipse at the degree of Gemini. 15 degrees, according to Nicholas Stoyanovic's theory, is the degree of Gemini. So again, and this actually ties into Achernar and some of the things I just mentioned for Achernar. We were going to see perhaps some themes and topics of this eclipse centering around Gemini issues, writing and writing materials, journals, magazines, social media publications. I did mention that just a moment ago, that literature is actually part of the Achernar influence, and here at the degree of Gemini, again, we have that influence. Traffic, streets, cars, roads, bridges, and transportation, forms of transportation, connect with the themes of Gemini. So there might be an issue here. Interestingly, I'll give you an example out of my life. My car has had mold growing in it. I have this south node in my 4th house, which is one of the indications for mold in your transportational vehicles or in your home. And I've had to have that dealt with and healed and restored, thankfully, during this eclipse activation period. There it is right there, degree of Gemini. My car needed addressing. Magazines, blogs, journals, newspapers, and books are all themes of Gemini that might somehow be very important in your life under this eclipse. Conversations and conversational equipment like phones and emails, the post, the internet, social media, again, themes of Gemini that might be prominent in your life in some way because this eclipse energy activation is stirring up Gemini energy. Educated people, intellectuals, literature, writers, shop assistants, retail trade. You might have an interaction with someone in a retail trade environment that's very significant in your life. The TV might be important. Your YouTube might be important. Radio might be important. Something about your neighbors becomes very, very important during this eclipse. Languages become very important during this eclipse. Personal documents, also things like identity card, driver's license, Medicare card, concession cards become somehow significant and important for some people during this eclipse. If you're a twin, or even if you're not, you might encounter a twin or something that is double in energy. That is very much the nature of Gemini. But not only that, remember we have this Paravatana yoga between the triplicity and the sign. That's a double whammy energy. This eclipse is an energy of double, and I would suggest double blessing, not double trouble. The old Elvis movie. No, it's double blessing because we've got this energy of twinning and doubling that appears a couple of times in this combination of this chart. Siblings are seen with Gemini energy as our kindergarten age children. So in some way, shape or form, that is going to be an important energetic focus for some people that may be listening to this video as a result of this eclipse. Now, I just mentioned a second ago about Jupiter and the Moon in mutual reception or Paravatana yoga by sign and triplicity point. What does that bring about? What energy does that manifest in our lives when that is happening? We feel happy, safe, and protected. We feel stable. We feel secure. We feel emotionally comfortable. By God, bring this on, because the universe or the world right now is just so wild. I think we could all use a bit of a breather with that energy. We also find when they're in this kind of combination together that we are able to express our emotions better, more effectively, more powerfully. Our family life can really improve under this energy. We're more open and more available to friends and to loved ones, and we can sort of perhaps experience more family connection or family happy experiences. I had a message yesterday, just as the activation period for this eclipse broke, from my sister saying that they, for the first time in, must be, 18 years, they've been able to buy a home. And like, what a big thing. Moon energy at the sign degree of Gemini, siblings, and this is some beautiful good news of, blessing in my family. Lovely for her. Open and available, as I said, to friends and loved ones, so we can love and support and uplift our friends and our loved ones as well. We are feeling more soft, emotionally soft and generous and kind, not weak, just soft and gentle and empathetic. And because we're feeling that way with this combination of energy, it's an excellent social time for parties and social gatherings that go well. Like I said before when I was talking about the trine from Jupiter to the Moon, it brings favors and benefits from women. So a woman could really be your benefactor now. But if you're a man watching this video and experiencing this transit, it can bring really positive experiences in your love life. You can be very blessed in your relationships with women right now if you're a man watching this. Excellent relationships also with mother figures. There's a real capacity to mend past hurts and release old karma with mum that happens because of this combination of energy. And I know many people watching this need that release from the karma with mum, whether mum is still here on the planet or whether she's crossed over. Being able to energetically heal your soul from that, very, very important with this in this particular chart of this eclipse. Now, holidays and exploration of hobbies is very much encouraged by this mutual Parivartana exchange right now. You might get some visits from old friends and some old acquaintances that are a result of this energy forming. You'll also, if you have to deal with anybody from a faraway place, from a foreign culture, you'll have a really positive interaction. Let's say you need a psychic reading from somebody and they're based in St. Petersburg or something, which is obviously very far from where I live. It may not be for you where you're watching, but I'm using myself as an example here. Let's say you get a psychic reading from someone in St. Petersburg, and that's a very foreign, faraway place, and it goes brilliantly, and you get the better information than you've ever got before. Is it because that person is a brilliant psychic? Maybe yes, but it's also probably because under this eclipse energy, positive interactions with foreigners lead to great results. So interacting on a foreign scale is a really good thing to do under this eclipse. You can also, if you're keen to have this manifest in your life, be very positive, popular, I'll get my words out, and successful if you have to deal with the public. Now this is also double whammy influence because you've got Jupiter in a trine to the moon that gives that effect as well. But the Parivartana mutual exchange also brings that about. So double whammy, this is really an energy of double. The double eclipse energy, oh my God, it's so fantastic. More popularity and more success in the public realm. Do be careful of gaining weight though. That's the one thing to be watching out for. This Parivartana yoga can expand us. The moon is comfort, Jupiter is expansion. So we're comfort eating, or, we're thinking we can, overextend ourselves and take, more chocolate than we ordinarily would eat, and weight can be gained. Be careful. But if you need to improve the home or sell your home, those sorts of things can go really well. Anything to do with the home or garden or real estate can actually go really well under this eclipse. It's a lovely energy for that. And I want to talk about now the lunar mansion, number 25. So this is, and I was talking to a girlfriend this week about this eclipse, and she was using all these lunar mansion associated words, and she doesn't really follow the lunar mansion, so I was quite surprised, but she's obviously tapping into something. But this is a lunar mansion that's about discarding the old so the new can come in through purification and cleansing, cleaning out the old, just like I had to do with my car that had mold growing in it through a leak that it had. I had to cleanse that out of the car so that I can drive my car. You know what? I got my car back from the detailers, and I'm like, is this car mine? This looks so new, brand new. Like it's about 2013 model car, and my God, it came back from the detailers who dealt with the mold looking brand new, cleansing the old. Practically brand new car I feel like I've got. My God, it's so beautiful. So that's an energy of this lunar mansion, purification and cleansing, getting rid of the old that needs cleansing. Speaking well publicly can be something that occurs because of the lunar mansion, and I would also suggest from the Parivartana yoga that's forming and trine from Jupiter to this moon. So really good time if you have to give a speech, if you have to make a YouTube video, if you have to get out in the public eye in some way, shape or form. The words are going to flow. The words are going to come. It is a time, with that in mind, where there can be some significant progress towards social reform. And that kind of goes hand in hand with people who speak well in public. If you think about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and John F. Kennedy and so on and so on, who were great public speakers, particularly Martin Luther King, what was he all about? Social reform. So there's a real strong energy of this with this particular lunar mansion. It can bring about a little bit of eccentricity and mystical energy, but there's nothing wrong with a bit of that. I actually love that sort of thing. So you might find that you might be tapping into some sort of mystical divine energy, some sort of perhaps eccentricity that's coming through, some even impetuous or opinionated energy, but I feel for the greater good. I don't see that as a bad thing because of the other factors playing into this eclipse with this lunar mansion. One thing, because I have my first house lord in this lunar mansion, one thing that I have found particularly true about this lunar mansion placement is that we often if we have a strong placement here, particularly if you've got the moon here, we perceive the world as an unfriendly place. And I'm like that. I'm like, I don't trust anyone or anything. I've got a few things in my chart that indicate that. So this eclipse can actually bring about sort of a feeling like I can't trust the world. And unfortunately, that is a contradiction to what I spoke about earlier, which is the Padavatana Yoga making us feel safe and secure in the world. So there's a bit of a dichotomy at play there with the Lunar Mansion and the Padavatana Yoga. We may be a little bit suspicious, but we might find our feet on stable ground in the end because of this eclipse. I would suggest also, if you're feeling like the world is nasty, I'm suspicious of everyone, I have trouble trusting what's going on right now, it's better for you, if you're feeling that way, not to dwell too much on the injustices of life and simply keep your vision in front of you. Go for your vision. Try and make your dream come true. You know, as I'm telling you this, above my computer is my vision board with my dream, my vision right there in front of me every time I sit down at my computer. And I encourage you, if you're finding that, it's a scary place in this world and I don't feel safe and I don't feel secure at the time of this eclipse, get your vision in front of you and focus intently on achieving that and taking your baby steps towards that goal, whatever that might look like, because it will keep you from losing your marbles under this eclipse. And that is my breakdown of all the energies involved in this eclipse, the themes, the way things might play out in general. We are going to look at the breakdown for all signs very soon. But before we get to that, I do want to discuss the Saros cycle. I love the Saros cycle idea. I love its celestial mechanics and how it works, and then what it means for us astrologically. So the Lunar Saros series, they're about 800 years long, and they begin with a lunar eclipse at the equator. And they contain about 45 to 47 lunar eclipses per Saros series. So that's the Lunar Saros cycle. It is a part of the overall solar Saros series, the new moon Saros series, that is the same family. So they're connected. But the solar Saros series of new moon eclipses, they actually are 1,400 years long. And they begin at the north or the south pole. This is the new moon eclipses in the same family. So they begin, you've got a new, look, it's an incredibly detailed thing. Do my course in the eclipses and you'll hear all about what the Saros cycle actually is. But you've got a new moon beginning at either the north pole or the south pole of the globe. And gradually they move with each new eclipse closer and closer and closer to the equator until they're actually on the equator and you have a total solar eclipse. And then they keep moving eclipse after eclipse after eclipse cycle down to the opposite pole from where they began. And that process of solar eclipses every 18 years lasts 1,400 years. Within that time frame of that process of solar new moon eclipses, a lunar eclipse, full moon eclipse, will begin on the equator. But it's only a series that is 800 years long. And so it's not as long as the new moon in the same family. So I hope that makes sense. I keep repeating myself, but hopefully you'll understand the celestial mechanics without me having to go into too great a detail here. If you want more about it, do my little course on the eclipses. Now, outside an orb of 12 degrees and 15 minutes from the nodes, a lunar eclipse, a full moon eclipse, can't form, can't take place. And this eclipse, as we know, is only 3 degrees from the north node. So although solar eclipses are the ones that we usually should consider mathematically in terms of the eclipse cycle, these lunar eclipses are side shoots to the solar eclipses, and therefore they're still important as part of the overall eclipse family. We need to consider them. So being part of the solar eclipse Saros family, this particular one began on July the 19th, 1917. So as solar eclipse family cycles go, it's not that long ago. And it's going to keep going, and it will finish on August 17, 3161. So we're only just getting into this solar family, this solar Saros cycle solar eclipse family, of which this lunar eclipse is a part. This is a relatively new eclipse family, and this is one of the first lunar eclipses in this Saros cycle family. So this series of eclipses, and remember, eclipses repeat every 18 years in the Saros cycle, not every 19 years as in the Metonic cycle, which is something different. I talk about that in my course. This one repeats every 18 years, and it carries, like I said, the energies of the initial eclipse series birth chart. What was going on in that initial eclipse series birth chart that we need to take note of? Well, in the original chart, guess what? Saturn and Neptune were once again in a conjunction with one another, just like they're in a conjunction in the chart, not aspecting, but in the chart of this eclipse. Here they are up here. Saturn's in Pisces, Neptune's in Aries. They're in two different signs, but they're still within close orb of one another, conjunct. In the original chart, Saturn and Neptune were at 3 degrees of Leo, conjunct, trining their current position in Aries Pisces. So there's an actual trine between the position it occurred at the beginning, in the beginning chart of this Saros series. There's a trine from Saturn to Neptune that is forming energetically. That, I think, is very, very significant. I'll talk more about that in a second. In the original eclipse chart also, Mercury was conjunct with the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. So have a think about the energy of 1917. Have a look at the history books if you need to. You know, it was an important social, economic, and political juncture in history, just as we're at today. And this eclipse cycle is a part of that social, economic, and political movement that formed and began and was birthed in 1917. So I actually don't think we need to look at the astrology to see that we're in the same kind of energy that we were in 1917. Look at our current affairs. They speak for themselves. But the correspondence to these cycles is quite fascinating. So I feel that this is a very important cyclical eclipse that we're going through because of this conjunction that is forming and repeating in the sky, similar to the original eclipse chart. What can I say about that? Well, I've done videos, particularly a video with Lada from Astrolada I did on my channel about Saturn-Neptune conjunction and what it means cyclically. So check that video out if you want to know more about what this energy speaks to. But I do think our societies are changing, just like the society and the world changed in 1917 as we were drawing to the end of the First World War. Political changes, border changes, political law changes, and regulational changes that affected humanity quite horrifically, I must say, going forward from that point onwards. We're at a point where that same energy is at play. So that's mundane astrology, and that's the Saros cycle repeating in that sense. Who knows but that in every, coming up 18-year eclipse cycle as a part of this, we might be dealing with some social, societal, and political issues on such a great scale as this going forward, because up until 3161, we're going to have this eclipse family repeating. Very interesting. But more personally, on a more personal note, health issues could surface. Because of this, there might be some issues with some sort of paperwork or correspondence or communications that become important. Remember, in the initial eclipse chart, Mercury was conjunct with Saturn and Neptune, so the mercurial things become of great importance with that energy. There might be some news, Mercury news, that feels fated, Neptune, and that arrives in your life, and that's just the case for any eclipse, but sort of double whammy impact because of the Saros cycle energy that this carries. And of course, Saturn and Mercury conjunctions, which we had in the original Saros series family chart, Saturn and Mercury conjunctions cause worrying. And we worry a lot when Saturn and Neptune are conjunct. I have Saturn Neptune conjunct in my chart. I get anxiety and I worry, and it's quite debilitating sometimes. But I'm sure many people can relate to that. And one of the reasons I didn't have a astro weather report last week was due to severe anxiety. So I didn't appreciate some of the nasty comments that were left on my video that I shared that was telling people this is why there's no astro weather report. But anyway, that's the way the cookie crumbles. Such is life, said Ned Kelly. Worries about loved ones can be part of this Saros cycle as well, because in the original chart, Mercury was Saturn, Neptune is compassion, and of course we have this is a lunar eclipse that we're looking at here, our family. So does it mean that something's going to go wrong with our loved ones? Not necessarily, but we're going to worry as if something had or as if something will, okay? So if you go into anxiety and worry, you can blame it on the Saros cycle for this one. Now we're going to leave the Saros cycle behind, and we're going to take a look at where this eclipse will be visible and what that actually means. So here is the map of where the total lunar eclipse will be visible. And as you can see, this red area is where most people are going to be able to see the total lunar eclipse from. So we have most of Australasia here. We have Russia, China, India, and Middle Asia here, and the east coast of Africa and Saudi Arabian Peninsula there. So this is the process of the eclipse as it moves across. When we animate it, this is what it will look like, becoming to a point where it's full blood red moon, obviously, and then starting to come out of eclipse motion once again. So fabulous little diagrams here showing where we're going to see the eclipse. And as you can see, Africa, Western Europe, and the eastern portion of Russia and China are actually going to get a minimal exposure to this eclipse. But here in this red area is where the populace, the large populations of these countries in the red area are actually going to be more susceptible to the eclipse's influence. So the theory goes from ancient times that when we have an eclipse, it's the major populations that are affected by the lunar eclipse, and it's the major populations of these areas where the eclipse is visible that will be most affected in mundane astrology, in mass world astrology. So keep your eye on these countries and what's happening in these countries, and any sort of political movements in these countries, because it's likely to be a result of the eclipse. And so now let's return to our regular chat about eclipse energy. And away we go now with all signs through the houses. So of course we're going to be starting with precious Pisces, because that is where the lunar eclipse is forming. Pisces at 15 degrees. Now, if you have your sun, your moon, or your rising sign here, this is your reading. So Pisces, we on the 7th or the 8th, depending on where you are in the world, of September are having a total lunar eclipse in your sign, in your first house. So this is all about letting go of beliefs and behaviors that no longer serve you about yourself. For example, beliefs or behaviors that affect you personally. You know, do you believe that you can thrive and flourish and blossom in life, or do you think that the universe hates you? Well, whatever is actually your belief about yourself and your life and your purpose and your mission is going to go through some change because of this eclipse. Remember, lunar eclipses change us internally that then cause external life changes. If you believe that life is only ever hard, well, that's a belief system that needs to change, and you need to work on that internally so that it isn't always hard for you externally. So that's one big theme of this eclipse, is the letting go of behaviors and beliefs that no longer serve. There's a cleansing needed. Cleansing of the soul regarding your journey, your life, your ability to flourish, your ability to thrive, which are all first house topics. There might be a combination of an old experience that you have as well, where something that happened in the past, maybe back at the recent new moon in Virgo, or maybe 18 years ago, a year ago, 6 months ago, when we had triggers around these points in the chart, something is reaching its fullness, something is reaching its culmination, and manifestation regarding that theme, regarding that topic, is actually at hand. So relationships, because this is the relationship axis that this eclipse is forming on, might have some culmination. You might see some relationships ending. You might see a new relationship beginning. Beliefs or behaviors around relationship, around partnership, around connection with others happening in some way. This is also an eclipse that could be affecting your audience and your clients, because it's the access not only of marriage partners and business partners, contractual agreements, but it's anybody who is in an audience-client dynamic with you. There might be some changes to your audience, changes to your clients, changes to how you're interacting with other people. Certainly, Pisces, I'm going through a big personal change and shift in how I want to offer my services in the world, through my website, obviously, but also through what I'm giving on YouTube. There's a lot that's going to be different after this eclipse is over with regard to what is being given on YouTube and what is given on Patreon and in other mechanisms that I have, platforms that I have running. It can be a very healing eclipse, but healing in terms of the relationships can be healed, our client relationships can be healed, our partnerships of business nature or contracts that can be healed and restored where they've been fraying at the edges, so to speak. We have the ability to handle whatever the universe is sending our way now, Pisces, with this eclipse, and it's such a benevolent eclipse in our first house. Very healing to relationships, but also healing to our life journey and our life path. We might feel we got off track. We had to do something to support somebody else, or maybe we had to take a different road in life for a time being, and along comes this eclipse and it's like, back on track. We're going to heal that misdirection, that misguided avenue that you went down because you thought it was the right thing to do. We're going to get you back on track for your flourishing, for your purpose, for your mission in life. There can also be the end of the road for some of us Pisces people, we Pisces people, with a personal identification, which is a very first house thing. So for example, we might end the road with I am a mother in a certain mechanism. We never stop being a mother, but maybe I'm a mother of toddlers. That might end. Or I am a father of teenagers. That might be coming to an end as your teenagers now grow older and move off and do their thing. So some personal identification. I am a lover. I am single. I am married. I am a working woman. I am retired. Whatever sort of I am identification that you have applied to yourself might be concluding in some way, and you choose to identify who you are in some other capacity now as a result of this eclipse. And that might be because something is changing in your life as a result of this eclipse. It is also an eclipse of popularity for Pisces people. The ruler of your sign is Jupiter in the fifth house of celebrity, making a trine aspect to this eclipse in your first house of you. Definitely some sort of perhaps even sudden changes in popularity, in recognition, in celebrity status, if that's something that you've been wanting to achieve in your life. This can actually be one of the eclipses that causes that to happen. And of course, I've spoke about this in the introduction to this video, but when we are popular and successful, then all other it doesn't mean that everything is sorted out and we have no problems. We certainly do, but other things like, maybe some sort of struggle to get a product out there in the world, that's lessened, for example, because we've got an audience base. We're popular. So the product that I have produced that I'm trying to sell and now reaches more people because I've had a rise in popularity. So like I said, it's not going to wipe out all problems, Pisces, but there is an advantage to some level of popularity coming into your life. And it's usually you will experience being popular because of your charisma. Not because you've designed a great product or you're, have produced something amazing. It's just simply because you're you. You have this great personality, the charisma, this spiritual side. Maybe you're very empathetic. Whatever it is that makes you you is going to be the reason for a rise in popularity. And, when we think popularity in the West, we think, they're going to have, 1 million followers on YouTube or something. Not necessarily. Popularity can look very different. Maybe you've opened a restaurant in a little country town and suddenly you find that it's swamped every weekend with visitors because words got out there. This restaurant is fantastic. So it's not just, hey, the whole world knows my name. It's, no, what I'm doing and the charisma as maître d'hôtel that I bring to my restaurant is bringing people in. It's causing popularity to what I do. So it doesn't have to be suddenly you're a hit on social media. That's not what necessarily this is all about. It is about your charisma helping you to flourish in your life journey because it brings popularity your way. Now, of course, there can be a random event. This is the house of entrepreneurial endeavors. It's also the house of our appearance, and random events accompany eclipses. So something might radically change with your image, your presentation. Something might radically change with the way you're thriving or surviving in the world. Something might shift with how you're doing that. Something might shift with your mission and your purpose in life. A random event occurs and it changes the direction and the course of where you're going in life. It can bring something new into your life. Absolutely, my beautiful Pisces friends. So a random event occurs. A random event happens that affects your relationships. A random event happens that affects your clients, your audience, your connection with other people. So something you haven't seen coming arrives. Also, I mentioned that the true character of someone can be revealed with an eclipse in the first house. So that person is you. You might find, you're talking to someone and you say something and you think, oh my God, I didn't mean to say that, and maybe your true nature pops out and you're like, I didn't realize, where's that coming from in me? So it's our true nature, perhaps, or some deep down thought or feeling that we've suppressed or ignored or denied was part of who we are, pops out. And you're like, oh my God, I have to address this now. I have to give credence to that now. And recognize that it is part of me for some reason or another, for good or for bad. It needn't be a bad thing. But certainly your true character can pop out and surprise you in some way. Okay, there's also some liberation. And I think for Pisces, because of the nature of this eclipse, it's going to be very beneficial and it's going to guide you back to your truth. But it has to do with your mission and your purpose and your journey in life. Why have you incarnated on this planet? Is it to burn out and be so stressed and so anxious that you feel like a puddle of jelly most of the time? No, Pisces, not the case. You have a purpose and a mission and a meaning for incarnation that goes beyond the Western behavioral patterns of burnout and stress and overwork and so on. We are going to be liberated, Pisces, to come back to our true reason for incarnation. Now, that can be anything. It depends on your own configuration of your natal chart. It kind of has to do with the I am identification that I talked about too earlier. I am a farmer. I am a stay-at-home mum. I am a child. I am a whatever. There's going to be some sort of liberation that for your mission in life that is changed, is significantly turned around so that you're more in your truth. Maybe, I'm going to use an example from my life that I would like to see changed as a Pisces rising person. I live in a provincial city. That is an area of my life journey that I would like to see change because I don't feel that living in a provincial city aligns with my heart and with my truth, with the kind of life I want to live. And it's been something that I would dearly love to see change. So bring it back. I don't feel my life purpose is connected to city living. So bring it on, Pisces. Eclipse, let's bring that change about. So this can force us to evaluate our life, our priorities, and figure out what needs to stay and what needs to be gotten rid of. Remember, this is the eclipse where the inside changes and the outside follows suit. So there is a need to focus on ourselves and how we can harmoniously blend our needs with the needs of others. I mean, this is like a seesaw. We are balancing. What are other people contributing to my life? What am I doing for myself? How do we reconcile these two things so that life is fair and balanced and equal? Currently, my life is way out of balance and I need to get that back on track. I hope this eclipse brings balance back into my life. You can also get the attention that you crave from positive means when we have an eclipse in the first house. And it is so important with an eclipse in the first house that is focused on us that we remember to be respectful of other people. We need to remember to honor other people. But Pisces, you're very good at that anyway, so I don't need to sort of drive home that point. But full moons tend to be more emotional than new moons, so you might find yourself feeling your emotions more intensely, especially with this Padavatana between the sign of Cancer and the sign of Pisces, your sign. So emotionalism is strong with these water signs triggered here. But I think for the positive, you could have the most exhilarating emotions instead, but heightened because of the full moon energy. It's going to bring everything joyful, everything exhilarating out of you and to the surface. Now, if you handle that wisely and well, and what's not to handle wisely and well when we're in a state of ecstasy, it's going to bring good things into our lives. So think about why we're feeling the way we are. If you're losing your cool, if you're going down a rabbit hole of emotional sadness or whatever, do take the time to stop and honor the self and care for the self under this eclipse energy, because to my mind, it shouldn't be down that negative road. It should be more of a uplifting energy. So there might be something energetically out of balance in your life, maybe a relationship with somebody that needs addressing, maybe some kind of a priority in your life that you're not giving credence to, and maybe a lack of focus on your purpose in life that needs to be clarified. So surroundings can sometimes seem a little off kilter during a lunar eclipse in our first house, but if that's the case, it's usually because our perspective needs to shift, not necessarily that the world needs to change around us. Remember, internal first, external second. Full moons are about endings, but this one's with the North Node, so it is a good time to finish something knowing that new things are going to enter in. We're going to finish something to do with ourselves, maybe finish dressing in a certain way, or finish dyeing our hair and decide we're going to let in those greys, or something about our identity, something about our image is reaching an end now, so that something new flourishes and blossoms up in its place. All right, the last thing I want to mention here for our YouTube audience is that this is a Padavatana yoga. There is an exchange between the first house Lord and the fifth house Lord, and they are swapping places. That's what a Padavatana or mutual exchange yoga is. Now, this is one of the best Padavatana yogas that you can have because it's between a Kendra and a Trikona house Lord. Very, very auspicious for Pisces people to have this particular type of Padavatana yoga, and it creates another type of yoga that is so auspicious and gives long-term luck, long-term success because of this Padavatana yoga. So I really feel for many Pisces people, you've got the fifth house Lord of luck and good karma coming to you. The good karma from your past lives goes into the first house. The first house goes into the house of good karma and luck as a result of your past life deeds. So for many Pisces people, this is so auspicious. The seeds that are planted under this eclipse, I think, are going to be very, very important for your long-term happiness and your long-term success, Pisces. Very, very excited about this. This is known as a Mahapadavatana yoga. And there are different types of Padavatana yogas. This is the best one that you can get. We can sometimes see, like, maybe this is a Danya yoga forming when the fifth house is interacting with the first house. So that is a yoga potentially for prosperity and wealth as well. So very exciting. Now, Pisces, I do want to mention that if you want to know more about eclipses, I'm sharing my 20-hour Royal Stars Academy course on eclipses and the nodes at my Learn Astrology page, available at a heavily discounted price just for eclipse season. So simply go to the Learn Astrology page if you want to do a course with me before this special opportunity is over. And a massive video is available on my Patreon family page where I give extended readings for all signs. I describe all the extra goodies that are in that particular video in the introduction to this video, and that's available now. We explore the rulers of the signs in greater depth and the yogas of this particular eclipse pertinent to your sign. It is so fantastic. Join my precious Patreon family. The link's in the description. You're going to love it. All right, for all my Patreon members who are here, Pisces, rising, sun or moon, it's time for us to dive deeper with your sign. Aquarius, rising, sun and moon people. Well, my beautiful Aqua, gorgeous friends, This energy of the lunar eclipse is on the axis of the second house to the 8th house. So this is a very exciting time where you're going to be letting go of behaviors and beliefs that do not serve you, as is the nature of a lunar eclipse of cleansing and purification with regard to your value system, ending something in your life so that you can be more self-sufficient now. So there might be an attitude you had to food that you're letting go of, because the second house is the food that we eat, and you change what you value in terms of what you're eating and the food that you allow yourself to consume. You let go of what isn't serving you and you embrace the type of food that is. Food is a second house thing, and how you value the food that you have. Money, how you're handling money, how you're valuing money, or possessions, like, you know, the clothes in your cupboard, the car in your carport, the savings in the bank account. How you are handling those things might need to go through a purification period that this eclipse might bring you. But you have the ability to handle whatever the eclipse sends your way. And you know what? This is a very manifesting eclipse. It might manifest something financially for you, something monetarily for you, my beautiful Aquarius people. But it is a full moon eclipse, so it can also mean the end of the road with a financial situation. It might bring in some new financial opportunities that you didn't see coming. So keep your eyes peeled now for opportunities that the universe might bless you with. This is a benevolent configuration of eclipse energies after all. There can be an energy of sudden changes with finances too. But not only that, it's more because it's an eclipse that's all about what's going on within affecting what's happening outside of you. There might be some changes in how you value things, like I said, but how you feel about being secure. Do you feel safe in the world? Do you feel secure in your position in life? That's great if you do. Lap that up, enjoy that feeling. But for those of you who don't feel safe, for those of you who don't feel secure, there can be sudden changes, because this is a benevolent eclipse, I feel. There can be sudden changes in how you feel safe and how you feel secure. And you might go from feeling like life is scary and the rug could be pulled out from under me at any minute to, oh my God, I can catch my breath, I can flow, I can receive, I can breathe at last. I don't have to worry so much, because something in your energy shifts, and then something in your external circumstances shift, Aquarius, so that you do feel safe, so that you do feel more secure in the world. Now, obviously, when an eclipse occurs in our second house, it can affect our finances. And being a full moon eclipse, it can indicate finishing paying something off, or finishing a financial project, or having even a change in your earnings. But it's for the greater good. Really it is, because this is a very beneficial type of eclipse, as we discussed in the previous intro to this video. Do watch your spending though. That said, you might be more inclined to indulge and overdo it. Remember, there's a Padavatana yoga forming with Jupiter here, and Jupiter can expand things. So watch what you're spending and watch what you're indulging in. You know, some things might make you feel better in the moment and give you a greater sense of personal satisfaction and peace. The moon is the energy that we're looking at here. Moon is emotions. So enjoy that, but don't feel like you've got to, you know, spend half your paycheck on the Gucci handbag, you know, or even more than half your paycheck, you know. Try to rein in the indulgences and keep it within what is reasonable and what limits that you have, so you don't end up regretting this eclipse energy down the track by going into debt or getting a loan for something that you really didn't need. Now, this is a house that also rules self-esteem and values, so you could be confronted with your feelings about yourself and how, you know, you are valuing yourself. Do you charge enough for the services that you offer? Do you stick up for yourself when you need to stick up for yourself? How do you feel about your own sense of self-worth and your worthiness? How much value you believe you have, and that can be material value or just general intrinsic value. How much do you value yourself, and how much do you act upon that value? You know, you might think you're very important and very special and very worthy, but your actions belie those feelings. For example, you sell yourself short all the time. This eclipse is going to address those sorts of things and encourage you to start perhaps charging something more suited to what you are worth, your intelligence, the work you've done, the status that you have. You start to align with how you really value yourself. It is also a good time under this eclipse energy to let other people know what you've accomplished. You know, speak it up, share it. I did this. I had this success. Celebrate it. Are you one of those sorts of people, Aquarius, that just sort of, shoves it under the rug? I had this huge success at work, but let's play it down so other people don't feel less than? No, this is an eclipse that says illuminate your worth, illuminate your value, honor it. I know you're not the kind of person, Aquarius, that wants to rub things into other people, but you do need to honor your successes. It's part of the self-valuing process. Maybe you're having an anniversary and it's a real milestone. Well, celebrate it. Don't just pretend that it's just another day. No, celebrate you and all the things you've done that are worth celebrating. You might also, under this eclipse energy, have a time when you might want to clearly define what is yours and what is other people's. This is happening on the axis of your stuff and other people's stuff. So that might take a bit of precedence. You might need to clearly define some boundaries over this is mine and this is yours, and that's the way it is. This could actually come out quite importantly because it may also have something to do with security, safety, and comfort. Now, some of you Aquarius people might find that because this is an eclipse of popularity, you might become very popular because of your voice. The second house is the voice and how we sing, or even how we speak out, and so you might become very popular because of that. It's also the house of our face, and your face might make you popular in some way as a result of this eclipse. You might find that something new comes into your life in a very material sense. Maybe I'm not saying that this is necessarily an eclipse of inheritances, but somebody passes and they leave you their car. A bit like Tom Cruise in that film with Dustin Hoffman, Rain Man. You get a car, whatever it is. Something new comes into your life in an unexpected, random way, which is the nature of eclipses. Eclipses with the North Node bring surprises, bring something new into our life. Often, though, it can happen with death when it's on this axis, simply because the 8th house is death. And when somebody passes, there's an ending, a culmination, a finishing that allows in something new into our life. So it could be that something material comes to you through somebody's passing or something like that. Yes, but we won't hover too much on that rather heavy energy. There can be some liberation for you in some area of life financially. So I do think that some Aquarius people will be able to pay off a debt or, change a bank account to a much better deal, something like that that's going to liberate you and free you up in a financial, material sense in some way. That's going to help you feel more on track with your finances. So that's a blessing. Not only that, but Aquarius, I have to point out that this is a Parivartana yoga between the 2nd house Lord and the 6th house Lord. Now, Parivartana yogas are generally considered to be very auspicious, but there are different kinds of Parivartana yogas, and whenever the 6th house Lord is involved in a Parivartana yoga, it maybe is not the best that there can be. It's known as a Danya Parivartana yoga, and it means that there might be some struggle involved before anything good arrives. Struggle before achievement. So I just want to give you a heads up on that, my beautiful Aquarius friends. You might have some financial liberation coming your way, some release of financial circumstances that have maybe been weighing down on you. That can definitely happen, but you might have to struggle for a bit initially, and this can play out over 6 months as this eclipse unfolds, this eclipse energy. But you'll see the light at the end of the tunnel during this eclipse activation period, and then you'll be able to work towards the finishing of the goal over the next 6 months. So for example, you might realize you've only got a little bit left to pay off your mortgage, and the light's at the end of the tunnel there, but maybe your wage has just gone down and you're not earning as much. So it's going to require some struggle. It's going to require some effort to get to that paying off the mortgage, but you do it and you accomplish it through your own hard work and through your own efforts. So now I'm not saying that you're going to lose wages. I'm just using that as an illustration of struggle before achievement and release and liberation. So just as an example, that is what I'm feeling into for our beautiful Aquarius friends. But you know what? There's so much more to talk about. I've talked about the Parivartana yoga, but there is a massive extended Patreon family reading for all signs regarding this eclipse available at the Patreon family, where we're going to look at the rulers of each the ruler of the eclipse and its placement, and the yogas that are forming, especially pertinent to Aquarius. So join my Patreon family. The link's in the description below. If you're not interested in that, or maybe you are interested in that and you want to do something else as well, I am sharing my 20-hour Royal Stars Academy course on eclipses and the nodes. They're available. There's 2 different courses available at heavily discounted prices for everyone for the eclipse season. So go to the Learn Astrology page before this amazing special opportunity to learn with me is over. And now for our Patreon family members, it's time to dive deeper. Thank you, Aquarius. Okay, Capricorn rising, Capricorn sun, and Capricorn moon people. Well, the energy, whoa, you're going for a walk? Fair enough. Lovely day for a walk. The energy of this eclipse, Capricorn, is falling on your 3rd house, 9th house axis. For you, the eclipse is forming in the 3rd house on the 7th or 8th of September, depending on where you are in the world. Lunar eclipse in Pisces at 15 degrees. This is telling us that manifestation of a 3rd house nature is at hand. Manifestation of perhaps a business idea that you've had, or some sort of piece of writing or communication that you have been putting together is about to manifest into something worth having. Some sort of teaching opportunity or workshop leading might be culminating now under this full moon energy, and you really have the ability to handle whatever it is the universe is going to send your way in that regard. Some of you might receive favors or benefits from a woman who's very 3rd house in nature, from a female sibling, from a neighbor who's a woman. So 3rd house people can bring benefits if they're female, and that can obviously be a blessing, but it could also be that somebody is a teacher in your life in some way. And that could be a friend who's a teacher, teaching you things about yourself and helping you understand life better. It could be that a sibling is being a teacher to you in some way too. Benefits that grow you, expand you, and make life more abundant are coming through the 3rd house mechanism now. Now, also the 3rd house has to do with our point of view and our mental perspective. So this could bring some changes to your point of view, changes to your mental perspective, and that could come in as quite a surprise, because this is with the North Node and it carries the energy of surprises, this eclipse. So you've been thinking a certain way or believing in a certain thing for a period of time, and then something happens. You read something on the internet, or you read a post somebody's made, or somebody sends you a letter, and you're like, oh my God, mind blown, little mind blown emoji. You are going to have a different perspective on things now. Surprise! This is the energy of the new moon falling, the full moon eclipse falling in the 3rd house. And it could come from a random event, a random email that somebody sends you, or a message in the mail that somebody gives you, or you come across somebody at a local town fair or something like that, and you're having a big chat to them, and suddenly mind blown. This happened. I'm not Capricorn, but this happened to me the other day. I was talking to one of the employees at my workplace, and we were talking about the way the world is and the way things are unfolding and certain circumstances in the state where I live right now. And he told me certain things that I thought I knew a lot about what was going on in my state, and he told me certain things that I had not been aware of, and my mind was blown. Big change in my mental perspective that is actually now unfolding to influence the course of my life. So very, very powerful. Now, also the true nature of somebody might be revealed, for better or for worse. It doesn't have to be bad, but then the true nature of your neighbor might be revealed to you now, Capricorn. The true nature of a friend might be revealed to you. The true nature of maybe a sibling is shown to you now, and you'd always believed them, you always trusted them, or maybe you'd always thought they were dodgy and they showed themselves to be glorious in character. So the true character, the true nature of somebody who is very 3rd house may now be revealed. There can also be something new coming into your life. Maybe a new friend comes in, or a new workshop opportunity, a new skill, a new craft that you want to undertake, a new talent that you want to cultivate in your life, a new business idea. Something new comes into your life because it's with the North Node. So ordinarily, full moons are about culminations, ending of something. You end of the road with a business idea, end of the road with a neighbor relationship, end of the road with a skill or a talent. But this is with the North Node. So something might be ending in that realm, but to bring in something new, to bring in a new experience or a new dynamic that you needed to feel. So something new regarding those 3rd house things, some surprising news might arrive in your life, and it's going to be liberating. You're going to get some message in some way, through a conversation, through an email, through a social media post, some surprising news that guides you back to your truth. Just like my conversation with one of the employees at my work did for me the other day. In ancient astrology, this was also the natural house of the moon. So having an eclipse here is actually very powerful. It's an indicator that the divine is speaking to you, that there's a message from the gods that you might be required to pass on to humanity. So if you receive some important news, if you receive some important message, if you receive some sort of mind-blown emoji type of news, don't be afraid to pass it on, to share with others, to shine the light so that others might have their awareness increased and their mental perspective altered as need be. When we have a full moon eclipse in the third house, there might be the ending of a spat with somebody, a reconnection with a sibling or a neighbor. Something elevates a relationship, especially when the energy of an eclipse like this one is so benevolent. So you might have to deal with something in your community. Maybe you're finishing a community project or making a change to improve your neighborhood or your immediate environment, which is represented by the third house as well. You might also have to deal with communication equipment. Remember, this is at the degree of Gemini, so we've got a big emphasis for our Capricorn people on communication equipment and social media platforms and that sort of thing as well. Telephones, TVs, blah, blah, blah. You could also, like dealing with communication equipment, but dealing with communications in general, you might have a hard time getting your point across or being able to understand where other people are coming from. People might be coming at you left and right and, trying to get you to understand something, and it might be just overwhelming to you under this eclipse energy. Unexpected appointments could pop up. This is an energy of being ultra busy. Lots to do, lots of meetings, lots of appointments. So try and keep your calendar clear around the time of this eclipse, because you want to stay flexible lest you become burnt out and overworked and exhausted. Life is going to seem for many Capricorn people quite amped up now, and you might feel like you're being pulled in a million different directions. So I encourage you to focus on what needs to be worked on now, and just anything that can wait, let it wait till later. Leave it till later. Don't overwhelm yourself. Don't cause yourself to go, out of your tree because things are just so super busy. This is the house of busyness. It's a house of restlessness. And so this eclipse energy can really overblow that. It's okay to let yourself off the hook sometimes, my dear friends. Your feelings are represented by the moon, and it's in the house of words. So feelings and words are often tied together. You're going to feel things very deeply, and it might require that you need to sort of go process your emotions through words. So journal or have a coffee with someone and have a conversation about how you're feeling to sort things out and to sort of untangle the fishing wire, so to speak, of your thoughts. This is a good time to let others know exactly how you're feeling and really have them hear you, because oftentimes when we have those sorts of conversations, we get reflected back to us exactly the process that we're dealing with, and clarity comes. So I just encourage you, this is a great energy to do that with. You'll be blessed, especially if because this energy has to do with blessings from women. It could be a good time to sit down with your mum and have a chat, or your grandma, or some maternal type woman, and really just explore how you're feeling with them if you can. Now, also, I just want to wrap things up for YouTube, our YouTube audience, and talk about the Parivartana Yoga. We have an exchange here between the Lord of the third house with the Lord of the seventh house, and the Lord of the seventh house with the Lord of the third. This is a Parivartana Yoga, but it's actually sort of the mid-level Parivartana Yoga, because any Parivartana Yoga that involves the third house is kind of, the third house is the eighth from the eighth, meaning it can bring crisis. But the good news is that Parivartana yogas are usually yogas of blessing. So ultimately, if you're able to move through a crisis, and you will, because this is a Parivartana yoga that brings courage to deal with crisis, to deal with upheaval. If there's any kind of mini crisis in your life, you have what it takes to overcome it through your courage and your fortitude. And by doing so, you will reach success on the other side. Parivartana Yoga, known as Akala Parivartana Yoga, which is the exchange of the third house Lord. So initial struggle, but it gives the courage to change, and you will achieve the change that you want after working on it. So I have more yogas that are really auspicious to share with you, my beautiful Capricorn friends, but that is available in the Patreon family video. where I have a massive extended Patreon family reading for all signs. It's now available on the Patreon family, and we explore the rulers of this eclipse and the yogas of this eclipse that are pertinent to your sign, as well as so much more. It will blow your socks off, the length of the video on the Patreon family. So to join my precious Patreon family, just go to the link in the description and sign on up. But also, before we do that, heads up, I am sharing my 20-hour Royal Stars Academy courses, there's 2 of them, on eclipses and one on the nodes. They're available at heavily discounted prices for everybody just for eclipse season. So simply go to the Learn Astrology page before this special opportunity is over and learn all about eclipses and the nodes with me. And now for my Patreon family members, it's time to dive deeper into what's happening for your sign. Sagittarius rising, sun and moon people. Well, Saggy, you have this eclipse forming on an angle, which makes it very powerful for you. It's forming on here the parental axis, and indeed you've got the full moon in the 4th house. This can bring sudden changes in your family life and what you're experiencing in the family. It can bring benefits from maternal women in your life, favors from women, particularly mums, grandmas, aunts, that sort of thing. Those maternal family members can bring a great deal of blessing into your life and change your life completely through some benevolent mechanism. Manifestation from such women is at hand with this eclipse. You could also become popular, my Sagittarius friends, because of 4th house things. So popular because you sell a piece of land, or maybe because your mum is recognized and you by association become popular. You might become popular because you're hospitable and, you know, you're I'm just thinking about Dave. He sells coffee in a coffee van at this point in time in life. And, you know, he could become, as a Sagittarius rising, he could become incredibly popular because of his wonderful coffee. Hospitality is a 4th house thing. You have a fabulous restaurant and you become the hottest restaurant in town. Popular because of 4th house reasons. There could be a random event that happens in your life, Sagittarius, associated with 4th house things. That could look like, you know, anything, like a random event in the family, a random event in your home or with your home, something you didn't see coming, something surprising, could be for good or for ill. I would suggest mostly for good because the configuration of this chart is very good. But we do have, and I will talk about this with my Patreon family, a Paravatana between the 8th house and the 4th house, which has certain connotations to it that could make things challenging, but I'll talk more about that with my Patreon family. However, there is some, perhaps, like I said, a random event that generally speaking could be very beneficial in the long term for you. Now, also you might see the true character of somebody in your life be revealed, and this is particularly true in the 4th house, where maybe a female relative is revealed, their true nature is revealed, their true character is revealed, their heart is, you know, available for all to see, and that can be for better or worse as well. You know, maybe they were extremely generous, maybe they're extremely kind and you had no idea. Maybe, you know, they're very loving and just never had anyone to bestow their love on, and you know, you see that for the first time. Something is revealed about a relative. This can also be an energy because it's with the North Node. Something new, or something is ending and being cleansed and resolved, because that's what full moons are about. There's an ending to some family dynamic or family home or family structure. There might be an ending to some kind of hospitality business that allows in a new beginning, a new hospitality business. Oh, you close the coffee van so you can open a cafe, you know, that kind of ending, new beginning kind of thing. Maybe there's an ending of a family dynamic that allows a brand new dynamic in the family to be born, of course. But really, this is very much an energy of being liberated in some area of your life that allows you to be guided back to your truth, liberated from maybe an over-attachment to a family member, liberated from having to support a family member or you know, be a foundation for a family member, so that you can now embrace more of what is true for you, real for you, and what you need in your life. So liberation from 4th house things, liberation from emotional wounding, liberation from heavy emotions. Emotions are seen through the 4th house. And by releasing those, cleansing your soul of those heavy emotions, you are released and freed back to live your best life. Now, This can also, like I said, bring sudden changes in the family dynamic, but it can also make you very psychic and emotionally intuitive and sensitive. So do trust your intuition and your inner knowing, your inner gut feeling about things, my beautiful Sagittarius people, especially when it has to do with your family or your parents. You know, if you feel like you need to reach out to mum, reach out to mum. Give her a phone call, go for a visit, whatever. Trust your gut about connection with family or parents. It is the end of the road for some dynamic, like I said, with a maternal figure. Now, that could mean mum is moving away or you're moving away from mum, changing residences. It's not a falling out necessarily, but it's a shift in how you relate or the logistics of how you can relate. It is the end of an era and a new beginning, also with a garden, with a home, or with a domestic situation, because something is shifting. So it is the home and the family that is the source of endings with this full moon lunar eclipse in the 4th house. You might finish a project with your house or settle a problem with the family. If you've been spending too much time at home or at work, you might be able to balance that out and equalize the times that you've got between home and work, and so one's not being neglected at the sake of the other. There's a real emphasis on balancing personal life and professional life. And so if it's been a mess, this is going to be highlighted for you under this eclipse Sagittarius, so that you can have a better balance in your life and get back on track with what your true purpose and mission is. You might feel actually under this eclipse in Pisces the need to detach and spend some time alone. And it's a good idea to do so. Privacy is a good thing with this combination. Taking time out, go to the beach. You'll find your emotions are restored by being in the ocean or by the beach, Pisces energy, or just in private, connect with nature. A better use of the energy than anything. Taking a break from home and getting out into nature could be really, really useful under this eclipse energy. The 4th house is also a spiritual karmic house, so a full moon lunar eclipse here can present a situation where there's a feeling of destiny, fatedness, and karma unfolding. So events are going to happen that feel like, wow, that was out of my control, but it was meant to be. You know those times? I love those times. They're the best times in my mind, because you know you're where you're meant to be and where the universe wants you, or either that or the universe will put you through those fated events where it wants you and needs you to be. You might be very focused on where you're going in life now and how you're going to get there. And one of the things this eclipse will do is show you whether you're even on the right road to begin with. You know, an opportune moment could arise that makes you, you know, really go, wow, this is, I feel driven by the hand of destiny. And great, I'm overemphasizing that point, but it really, really is a lovely, lovely energy. Now, there is also a Padavatana Yoga occurring between the 8th house lord and the 4th house lord. Now, Padavatana yogas are usually auspicious, but whenever you have a Dastana house lord involved, it is actually sort of the lowest vibrational level of the Padavatana yoga energy. There's 3 different kinds, and this one is the Danya Padavatana yoga. And so it indicates there is some hurt or grief or struggle that must be gone through in order to create benefit out the other side. So it's not necessarily easy. It does, Padavatana yogas bring blessing, but when it's a Danya Padavatana yoga, it's up to us whether that blessing arrives. You know, are we willing to process that grief? Are we willing to heal that trauma? In this case, you know, 8th house, 4th house could be trauma with a mother that we need to process and heal from, that could bring, ultimately, when we've done so, blessing out the other side. But are we willing to face those things? Are we willing to deal with those issues and traumas? So I'd encourage you to do so. You know, do the work, pull yourself up by your bootstraps when it comes to dealing with a crisis in the home or those sorts of things, and you will find that the outcome is going to be achievement and blessing. If you just stay in the muck and mire of the problem, the grief, the trauma, the crisis, then nothing shifts, nothing changes. Really, the Danya Yoga says that it's up to you what you make of this Padavatana Yoga. Is it going to be ultimately for blessing? You'll have to do the work. Or are you just going to sit in the muck? It's up to you. So that's what I'm feeling into from my Sagittarius friends, but you know, I've got so much more to share about yogas, and there's some really good ones forming for Sagittarius. I have a massive extended Patreon family all signs reading. It's now available, and we're going to explore the rulers of this particular eclipse and the yogas of this particular eclipse pertinent to your sign and how they affect you personally. So simply join my precious Patreon family. The link is in the description below. Also, I have, heads up, I have a 20-hour Royal Stars Academy course available for everybody on eclipses, and there's another course on nodes, and they're available at heavily discounted prices for everybody during eclipse season. So simply go to the Learn Astrology page before this special opportunity to learn all about this wonderful astrological configurations that we're going through is over. You'll not be disappointed with the amount of information in this course. It is mind-blowing. I've listened over it myself and I've blown away my own mind. But for all my Patreon members out there in Sagittarius land, it is time for us to dive a little deeper. Moving along, thank you so much, Sagittarius. We're now moving to Scorpio rising, Scorpio sun and Scorpio moon people. Well, what an eclipse this is going to be for you, my beautiful Scorpio friends. This eclipse is occurring on the 7th or 8th of September, depending where you are in the world, at 15 degrees of Pisces. So that trines, if you have 15 degrees of Scorpio as your ascendant, that trines your ascendant or your sun or your moon there. But generally speaking, it's a trine by sign anyway to your rising sign. So this can really bring the culmination of an old experience. Something is wrapping up in order for something new to begin. So manifestation of something new is at hand with this eclipse. Now, what does it mean? Well, it's forming in your 5th house. The moon down here in Pisces is in your 5th house. This brings in a change of dynamic with a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a live-in lover. Some people may separate under this eclipse. Remember, it brings in a culminating energy, which can be an ending, but if that happens, it's because something new is waiting in the wings. Something new wants to begin. Maybe it's a new relationship with yourself. Maybe it's a new self-identity. Maybe it's a new lover, new boyfriend, new girlfriend that wants to come in instead of the one that has worn itself out over time. But it may not be that a love is what is ending. It could simply be that unexpected opportunities for you to show your natural creativity form now. And you should take every opportunity that presents itself, be it an art show, a theatre production, a film role, whatever, creative unexpected opportunity. Remember, this is with the North Node, so it's all about the energy of surprise and new things coming into your life, new opportunities to be creative. Take it. You will be pleasantly surprised at what it'll do for your life and how it will build you up. Now, also, there might be some romantic gestures that surprise you as well. Speaking of surprise, or people wearing their heart on their sleeve, new romantic eventualities. We've talked about this, but also getting back in touch with your inner child. That might come as a surprise. You might be like, wow, I haven't done that since I was 10, you know? And it really does something to your heart and your soul as you revisit something beautiful from your past, something when you were a child that is brought back to light. We might also see some beautiful experience with children. Could be your own children, could be somebody else's children, where you're uplifted by interacting with children in some way. So favors and benefits, especially from female children, might come your way. Or more likely, you, if you're a woman listening to this, you might be of blessing to children in some significant way. A benefactor, somebody that they will remember for the rest of their lives as being somebody of blessing in their lives. You know, when I was a little girl of about 3 or 4, I don't have a lot of memories from that age, but I do remember my Nana's sister coming to visit us, and she passed away. I don't even remember what she looks like, but I remember the energy of her being at my house, and she bought lollies, and we were 3 or 4 years old, my sister and I. And oh my God, those lollies. We didn't get a lot of lollies because my mum was very health conscious. And oh my word, did we ever remember Auntie Jean coming with those lollies. So there's these sorts of things. You just don't know who you'll be blessing and what kind of dear, precious, treasured memories that you might be creating in the life of a child through this eclipse. So, do the ultimate, go the extra mile, because it's a beautiful energy that you'll be gifting to somebody else. There can be some surprising lucky breaks that come. The 5th house is a lucky house, and so this is a great energy, a great placement to be having an eclipse. In fact, eclipses bring random events, and this is the house of speculation. So you might randomly buy a raffle ticket in the local supermarket, and lo and behold, you end up the winner. This is one of those kinds of eclipse energies that can bring prosperity to certain signs, and you are the sign this time around, my beautiful Scorpio friends. Some random event of luck and opportunity, some random event of karmic merit that is rewarding you for what you've done in past lives. This is the house, the fifth house is the house of past life merit. So really there can be some big reward that comes in a random, unexpected way. Now, I feel it would bring you some sort of liberation. I feel it will, if it comes in, it will bring you back to your truth. So it's not going to spoil you. It's not going to cause you to, become obsessed with, being rich and elite and all that kind of shit. It's going to actually give you a lot of support and coming back to your authentic self, if that should happen. So that's quite nice, Scorpio. So a full moon lunar eclipse can not only give you new opportunities, because this one's with Rahu, the North Node, but it could also show the end of a creative venture or a hobby or a project you've been working on, and that could be very fulfilling, a sense of satisfaction because you've come full circle with it. You might also see the completion of a love affair. We've talked about that, so I don't need to go over that again. You might not want to be alone at this time though. Even though the full moon is in Pisces, there might be this energy of I don't want to be alone, so there might be a rebound or a fling that you get involved with. That is up to you whether you're happy with that circumstance or not, but just keep in mind that it may not last. There is no Saturn aspect to this particular moon. Saturn's in the same sign, but not at the same degree. So it's not a strong kind of combination for Saturn, and Saturn brings lasting relationships. So just be aware that if somebody new steps in where somebody steps out, it may not be a forever kind of thing. It could be just, I need to heal my heart by having this experience. If you're in a happy relationship, then this is actually not going to cause an ending. It's going to bring you to a new, more exciting, more pleasurable level of relationship. So that's something to look forward to. It is important to go out and have fun, Scorpio, with this energy. You might not feel very inclined to be social or, do anything that might feel, you might not be inclined to go out and have fun, but you will benefit by doing so. There is blessing waiting for you if you go out and have fun. So if the girlfriend rings up and says, hey, we're going out to this movie, and you're like, oh, I just want to stay in my pajamas and eat chocolate. No, go out to the movie and eat chocolate with your friends. There is benefit waiting for you by being more social. And look, you might have a general feeling of being a little bit more enthusiastic than usual, having a little more joie de vivre, as they say. Just be careful you don't go overboard. Jupiter is aspecting this eclipse after all. Work might sort of slip to the back burner. You might forget about work during this eclipse season. So, go steady with any commitments to big projects. Otherwise, it could be really frustrating, because this is an energy of pleasure and having fun and indulgence and relaxing, living it up, having good times. And it's really good to let your inner child out and be more carefree and creative and playful once in a while. And this eclipse, of all eclipses, is giving you permission to do exactly that. Not least of which is because there is a Parivartana yoga forming between the 9th house and the 5th house. What a blessing this is. These water signs for this eclipse are really the ones who are going to get their socks blown off with blessing. This for Scorpio means, and I'll talk more about this combination of energy with the Patreon family portion of this video, but it means that there is two auspicious houses, two Trikona houses exchanging signs. So this is a Maha Parivartana Yoga, the top of the tree in Parivartana Yogas. What it means is it's creating auspiciousness. It's even a Raj Yoga kind of energy, that royal union that gives long-term success, advantage, prosperity, and abundance. So for Scorpio, this is absolutely super duper. I'm so excited to tell you, Scorpio, that this blessing is awaiting you because of the mutual exchange that Jupiter and the Moon are forming here with this particular eclipse. So absolutely wonderful. I have more to share about the various yogas that are forming for you, Scorpio, at my Patreon family. I have an extended, massive video for all signs. We're going to explore the rulers of this particular eclipse and the yogas that this particular eclipse forms for each and every sign. So to join my precious Patreon family, sorry, I got something in my eye, all you need to do is go to the link in the description. And heads up, I'm also sharing my 20-hour Royal Stars Academy courses on eclipses and the nodes. So all up 20 hours if you buy both. Now, these are heavily discounted for everybody for the eclipse season. All you've got to do is go to my Learn Astrology page and join me for these wonderful classes in eclipses and nodes. You will be blown away. Such amazing information. Even I was blown away when I re-listened to what I shared in those particular courses. Anyhow, for all our Patreon members, it is now time to dive a little deeper for Scorpio. And moving right along, thank you, Scorpio. Now, lucky Libras. Usually I say lovely Libras. Today, you are lucky Libra in my book. So Libra, rising, sun or moon, this puts the eclipse in your 6th house. 6th house, maybe not as lucky as I thought. Okay, this is happening on the 7th or 8th of September, depending on where you are in the world, and it's at 15 degrees of Pisces, your 6th house. So what it is telling us is that there's going to be some culmination of an old 6th house experience. Could be an old health condition, Libra. It could be an old disagreement or an old conflict that is coming to an end and concluding under this full moon energy, making space to cleanse and purify and bring in the new into your life. No more conflicts, no more disagreements. That would be lovely, of course. The energy of an eclipse forming in the 6th house means that we're usually going to be highly sensitized to the pain of others. Under this eclipse, we will be feeling the hurts of others. And because this is an eclipse energy of favors and benefits from women, if you're a woman listening to this, you have the opportunity to be of benefit to somebody who is suffering, to somebody who is hurting, to somebody who is wounded at this time. You also have the ability to handle whatever conflicts need addressing and whatever upheavals need sorting out that the universe may send your way. So quite exciting in that sense. You have the ability to handle what the universe sends your way and to wrap up whatever needs concluding. Confrontational situations with that in mind might arise because of this eclipse, but they are going to be coming out of the frustrations that you might feel emotionally, Libra. So you might need to protect your energy and vibration now. So have a plan to do so. What are you going to do to chill, to relax, to tap out a bit? Oh, I had a bit of deja vu just then, just saying that. My God. What are you going to do to restore your emotional health when it feels frazzled? Now, this is a benevolent combination of energies for this eclipse, but it is in the 6th house. So do prepare to look after anything that feels imbalanced, emotions that feel imbalanced, any situations in life that feel exhausting or burnt out. Some people, because of the nature of this benevolent eclipse, might have a win over a health issue or a court issue or against a difficult person that they've been battling with. That's fantastic. Yay, end of the line with these yucky things. Some of you might be able to finally release the energy of hurt of somebody that has caused you hurt or wounding or heartbreak. So really it's a win over an imbalanced state of being within you. That is the key. Remember, eclipses that are lunar eclipses come from within to change the without. So it is the end of the road with a conflict or a situation of disadvantage, maybe a debt, maybe a health issue, maybe the end of the road with a disagreement, like I said, but it also could be the change in circumstances with a family pet or an animal. Now, whatever happens, I'm not saying anything bad's going to happen to your pet or animal, unlikely, but maybe, your pet just needs, more walking. They got more vim, more va-va-va-vum, more energy than ever before, and you're finding that you've got to change circumstances and get everyone in the family to help walk them because they need more exercise. So it needn't be a bad thing. But it really is a surprising energy. So if something heals and is restored to balance, it's going to come as a bit of a shock. Like, oh my God, that needed to happen. Thank God it did. Boom. A random event. It could be a random, a random kind of a conflict or something that comes to the fore, but it's such a relief to have it dealt with. It's such a relief to have it over with. So some random thing, the true character of somebody and their confrontational nature, their angsty kind of behavior is exposed under this. That maybe they've been going behind your back and sort of doing the dodgy at work on you and running you down or something like that, and their true character as a workplace gossip or something is revealed. So it brings to light something underhanded from somebody in the workplace or from some sort of enemy. That kind of thing is exposed. It could also show the end of a health problem or a habit that you've been trying to break. So eclipses, and particularly this eclipse, could be very beneficial for that. You might decide to make a change with your health all of a sudden because of this eclipse, and you have a really good chance of achieving what it is you want to achieve. So make a plan, stick to it. Don't just do things on a sudden spontaneous whim. You can actually make a long-term change to your routine that will have beneficial influences upon you going well and truly forward into the long-term range effects of your life. You could change your work environment as well. A lot of people under an eclipse in the 6th house will change their everyday work. If you're dissatisfied with your work life, you'll probably have a strong desire to quit and to call it a day. Make sure you have a plan in place though. If you do, you don't want to be left on the street because you, under an eclipse, thought, take this job and shove it, and nothing else came along. So do be acting with caution and not on a whim. Definitely be very cautious, very careful if you're feeling dissatisfied at work. But there may be opportunities that come your way to move into something new. Remember, this eclipse is with the North Node. So yes, something is ending, but also the North Node brings in the new opportunity, the new blessing, the new benevolence that you need. So something really exciting is coming your way, I feel, Librans, to do with your work life, to do with your routine. You want to make a change. You're maybe feeling quite restless about a change. Just make sure that there's a plan involved for everything, whether it's a health routine that you're changing, whether it's a workplace that you're changing. Don't be overly emotional and crazed and make sudden overwhelming changes that you will end up regretting. I just need to really reiterate that. The 6th house is about being humble, and so by being humble about, I'll do my duty until the universe provides me with another opportunity. That's the way to approach this. Bring some order into your life. Get things structured and well organized as much as possible, and you will float through this eclipse season. There could also be, by being organized and having things cleaned and cleansed, because this is the 6th house energy, is to clean and cleanse and to have karmic liberation, you are going to be able to be guided back to your truth. So you might be cleansing your spirit from some hurt that, wound or gossip that somebody spread about you. You might be cleansing your heart from some sort of a big, like I said, I talked about a hurt, but you might be cleaning out your routine, for example, and creating more structure. Right, I'm going to start getting up at this time, and I'm going to go for a jog, and then I'm going to have my breakfast, and blah, blah, blah. And you restructure and reorganize a routine, and it changes your life for the best over the next 6 months as well. It liberates you and guides you back to your state of health, to your state of mental well-being, to your state of organizational, everything is in its place and I'm coping fine, so liberate yourself, Libra, by becoming more organized under this eclipse energy. It's really asking you to step into that. Now, also there is a Parivartana yoga that is forming here, and that is a yoga between the Lord of the 10th house and the Lord of the 6th house exchanging places. Now, Parivartana yogas are very auspicious combinations of energy. They bring blessing. They're called a mutual exchange in Western astrology. But when we're talking with the Vedic terminology, there are 3 different kinds of Parivartana yoga, and this one is probably the most difficult. It's the Danya yoga because it involves a Dusthana house, the 6th house. And so what it is saying is that there is change coming, and it's going to feel like struggle, probably a bit like childbirth, labor pains for the new baby to arrive. And so that's what this Danya yoga is. Yes, blessing and opportunity can come out the other side, but it comes with some labor pains. It comes with needing to push hard. It comes with needing to do the work or pull yourself up by the bootstraps if anything is going to happen. I mean, if you're in labor and you just lie there, that baby's never coming out. You've got to put in some effort so you get the reward. Now, some people choose to just not make an effort, and so their Danya Padavatana Yoga never accomplishes anything, and they've got a wasted energy in their chart. This is in the natal chart. This is by transit that we're looking at this one. So you have the chance to do the work and reap the rewards, but you've got to do the work, okay? It's not just going to land in your lap, my beautiful Libran friends. So whatever that looks like to you, usually it'll have something to do with career and worldly achievement and recognition. Maybe you just need to dedicate more time to your work, or actually proactively look for a new job if you're not happy with the one you've got. So there will be certain ways of being a master of service to other people that you can grab, but you've got to make the effort. You've got to go with it. So that's what I'm feeling into for Libran people. I do want to just share that I have a massive video at my Patreon family where we go into greater depth with other yogas that are forming in this chart for our beautiful Libran friends, pertinent to your sign, and also we explore the rulers of this eclipse and how they're affecting you. So all you got to do is go to the link in the description below and join me at the Patreon family for more. Also, I want to let you know, heads up, I am sharing a total of 20 hours of the Royal Stars Academy with two courses that I've launched, one on eclipses, the other on the nodes. They're heavily discounted for everybody for the duration of the eclipse season. They will be available after eclipse season is over, but at their regular price. So all you've got to do is go to the Learn Astrology page and make the most of this special opportunity to learn even more about eclipses and the nodes and how they're affecting you. You are going to have your socks blown off by these courses. But now for my Patreon members, it's time to dive deeper. And moving along now, lovely Virgo rising, Virgo sun, Virgo moon people. The energy of this eclipse is on your relationship axis and forming in your 7th house. This is happening on the 7th or the 8th of September, total lunar eclipse in Pisces at 15 degrees Virgo. And what it means for you is that relationships that have been working well might see some sort of shift in dynamic that takes you more into the positive, that uplifts the relationship to an even higher level, that brings something new into the relationship. Now, this can be business partnership, clients, audience, marriage, it doesn't matter. Your connection with others, it can be uplifted and energized. Now, any relationships that you currently have that have been strained might break apart under this influence. And if they don't break apart, something will probably happen that will have you walking on eggshells. And you may be thinking, is this really the relationship I want to be in? In fact, the true character of someone is often revealed under a lunar eclipse. And when it's in the 7th house, the true character of your mate or your business partner or one of your clients or even your audience can be shown to you, so that you're like, you know what, I don't want to deal with this anymore, or this isn't the one for me. Or maybe the true character really comes out and you've been doubting them, you've been thinking they're a loser or whatever, and then they show you that they're more than what you thought they were. So a revelation about somebody else comes into your life now, and probably through some sort of random event, some event that happens out of the blue, unexpectedly, that you didn't see coming. This is an eclipse that brings popularity as well. So you will be popular because you have a wonderful, warm way, the moon, lunar energy of relating to people, to clients, to audience, relating to your partner. Like, you know, that might be seen by the world and appreciated and upheld. You can be popular because of your connection and the way you connect with other people at this time. It can also indicate suddenly falling in love with somebody new. So for some of you, you will be finding that you will meet the love of your life under this eclipse energy. If not in the next over the eclipse season, it might happen in the next 6 months. Something new in terms of relationship and a commitment comes into your life. But look, it may not be a marriage. It may not be a long-term relationship. It might be a new business partnership. It might be a new audience or new way of relating to your audience that comes into your life that really makes you happy, that really is like, I should have done this long ago. This should have been the energy that I sought a long time ago, rather than keeping on throwing my pearls before swine kind of thing. It can, like I said, indicate suddenly falling in love or finding that you love a new way of relating in some manner. It could also indicate the end of the road, because full moons are the end of the road with a court case or with lawyers, with negotiations or business deals of some description. They've reached the end of the road, but there's a conjunction with the North Node energy here that brings in a surprising new beginning as well. So while something is ending, something new is starting, and it really liberates you in some area of your life, and it helps guide you back to what is your authenticity, your truth, your meaning, your purpose. So that has to do with some contract that might be wrapping up, that, to create a new contract that's more in alignment with what you want and who you are, for example. So when we have a full moon, or a lunar eclipse as they're called, occurring in the 7th house of relationships, we evaluate our relationships more. We check out our partner and we evaluate our partner to see if it's still working right for us. And so, because we've done the evaluation, it's a good time to walk away. Remember, if it's needed. Remember, these eclipses are all about within, as within, so without. We look within. Is it suitable? Is it what I had hoped for in the long term? Is it not? So we can walk away if we choose to, or we can bring our relationship, as I said, to a deeper level, but it's coming from our own evaluation process within. Now, if you're dealing with people that you view as equals to you, then you may want to stand back a little and let them have the spotlight. This is a time, Virgo, for illuminating and shining the light on your partner, on your business partner, on your marriage partner, on your audience a little. So reflect back on them, especially in a business situation. If you've been working with a partner and things are culminating right now, you'll want to enjoy the rewards together with your partner. If you're a single person, you have your eye on somebody, you might find that it's now time for you to step out of your comfort zone and jumpstart a connection. Ask them out on a date, or go and try and arrange some sort of a meetup or something. The feelings that you have for people under this eclipse, all other people, might really intensify. So it is easier to express our emotions with a partner in a one-on-one setting, of course. And that can be a business partner. If we're feeling angry about something, we can express our anger. It's a marriage. We can express, our deep love and affection for our partner. Everything's deepened and heightened under an eclipse energy. So it's a good time to share what we're feeling. It's also a good time to negotiate with others. We'll be more able to see compromises that can please us both and get win-win outcomes, which is always the ultimate goal. The 7th house also rules open enemies, so the enemies that we know about. Something could come up along those lines as well. You might be encountering somebody who, you're like, damn it, it's revealed, it's shown to you, or maybe the true character of an enemy is shown to you, and maybe it's not as bad as what you thought. Now, there is a Parivartana yoga forming between the 11th house and the 7th house, and this is one of the most auspicious types of Parivartana yogas, the Maha Parivartana yoga. There are 3 types. This one is the best. It is when we have a Trikona house and a Kendra house lord making a connection or a mutual exchange like this. So absolutely fabulous. This means that blessing and prosperity and manifestation are likely to come your way as a result of this eclipse, Virgo. So good things in store for our Virgo friends. Now, that said, I want you to know that I have so much more. I go into great depth with the various other yogas that are forming in this particular chart for Virgo people at my massive extended Patreon family video for all signs. We look at the rulers of the eclipse and what they're doing for us personally, as well as the yogas, like I said. So all you've got to do is join my precious Patreon family if you haven't done so already. The link is in the description below. And heads up, Virgo, I am sharing my 20-hour Royal Stars Academy courses on eclipses and nodes. Now, they are available at the Learn Astrology page of my website at heavily discounted prices for everybody during the eclipse season. Go and learn astrology, learn the eclipses, learn the nodes. You will have your socks blown off. This course is amazing, or these courses, there's 2 of them, are amazing. And now for all Patreon members, it's time to dive deeper into your sign. Moving along to our amazing Leo rising sun and moon friends. This eclipse is falling in your 8th house, Leo. Whoa, what is going to happen? This is happening on the 7th or the 8th of September, depending where you are in the world. It's happening at 15 degrees of Pisces. So this is a placement in the 8th house for this eclipse where it tells us you're going to get some amazing intuitive downloads that happen now. Trust those goosebump moments. Premonitions, prophetic influences, inner knowing, psychic capacity are all on the increase. It is also heralding a big 6-month season of change and rebirth and regeneration for you. Basically, Leo, your life is about to change in quite a remarkable way. End of the line with one way of being, beginning of a new life for you. And some of you might be feeling that's about goddamn time, the change energy represented here. But it could be quite an emotionally up and down eclipse. You won't be... the state that you're in during the eclipse will not be the state that you'll be in for the entire 6 months. It will be full of change, coming, going. You'll really need to ride it out as best you can, but life is shifting gears and turning around 180 degrees for our Leo friends. Now, this could be truly liberating and guide you back to your authenticity and your truth, which is wonderful. Where do you really feel you want to be? What do you really want your life to look like? You're getting back into authenticity and truth, but it could come in quite a shocking way, an unexpected way, bringing something new into your life. So really this is an energy of surprises and sudden changes and random events based on 8th house energy. Now, with a full moon or a lunar eclipse in the 8th house, there's a good chance you'll have to transform many things yourself in your life. Of your own volition. Remember, lunar eclipses are all about change within that brings change without. So changes in attitude, changes in belief, changes in expectations, changes in what you want to accomplish, just changes deep down within you bring changes externally. And usually it'll be something that changes on a very, very deep level. There's a real releasing that happens with a lunar eclipse. Lunar eclipse meaning full moon. Something that's bogging you down in life can start to dissolve and let go over the next 6 months. And you can allow a restart into your life in a more positive way. It's like cleansing of the old, gunk and muck and mire and whatever's down in the basement of your life to allow the beautiful flow of energy to come in. So what is really going on here is there is... a conjunction of this eclipse with the North Node that brings in something new, that's hungry for a fresh start, that wants to turn life around and turn over a new leaf. So ending with the new moon and something new coming in, new transformation coming in with the Rahu placement right next to the full moon. Now, not only that, but we've also got this is the house of renovation and restoration. So a lot of you may feel like the phoenix burnt down to the absolute state of burnout and I can't go on anymore. This is the end of the road. I'm just done. And then blessing comes in and up you're restored like the phoenix rising from the ashes, like an absolute transformation. I've done a lot of renovations in my life. You may have done too. And I know what it's like to turn some shabby old room into something absolutely gorgeous, colorful, bright, spacious, clean, all the nice things. And that can be your life. It's a representation of your life. You are renovating your life right now, Leo, because of this eclipse in the 8th house. Most of us, we tend to hold on to things that become unhealthy for us after a period of time, not wanting to let it go, not wanting to allow in the new start, becomes a bit of a safety blanket. We're clinging too hard, especially you're a fixed sign, Leo, so there can be this holding on for too long that happens with the fixed signs. So the transformation wants to liberate you. The energy of the eclipse wants to liberate you from what you've been holding on to for too long. And you might even realize that you're holding on. It could be an energetic holding on, not literal. The transformation could also be something physical, like you might have some surgery to remove a part of, a mole off your butt cheek or something, or you might be like physically renovating part of your house or restoring something in your home to its former glory, or a piece of furniture or something. You might be literally renovating your body, renovating your home, renovating some furniture. These could actually be a significant undertaking during this eclipse season for sure. Dealing with intimacy is an 8th house matter, and so there could be some intimacy issues that come up that you might need to transform and restore and revitalize in some way, based on maybe a trauma in childhood or some kind of hang up that you've got that needs to be transformed. Leo, could be absolutely lovely. Security might become a focus. Look, I've got 8 planets in the 8th house, and certainly security is a big one for me. I've always felt my whole life long like the rug's going to be pulled out from under me any moment. I've got to save up. I've got to, hold on to my money because God knows what's around the corner, So I don't like that I'm that way, but that is the energy of an 8th house, where you feel like, usually because of a past life experience, the rug's going to be pulled out from under you. And so with an eclipse forming in your 8th house, there could be a feeling like, oh my God, what's going to happen? We are about to lose it all, and we're going to end up living in a tent by the river, and that'll be our life, and that's the end of the story. Security becomes a focus, but it's actually within. Remember, lunar eclipses are all about what's going on within you. It's an energy within you. And what needs to shift and change now is that energy of, oh my God, the rug will be pulled out from underneath me, and a need to learn to trust and to flow. That's a really biggie. So with this eclipse. So there could be some issues related to other people's money that come up, or a partner's money. You might have to use a large chunk of money. Perhaps you're lending some money to a friend or a family member. Maybe you need to settle some sort of outstanding debt in some way. If you're in need of a loan and want another credit card, you could ask for it now. I don't like credit cards, but it is possible. If that's what you need, you could get one. Better to live off your means if you can, then you don't end up swimming in deep waters more than you can handle. But you could get some sort of assistance financially if you want to go into debt that way. You might be also weighing up material things that aren't yours, looking at, well, is that something I'd want for me, or would I not want that for me, or would that be beneficial, or would it not be beneficial? So there is a weighing up of other people's resources in application to what are you having and what do you want in your life. That might also occur as a result of this eclipse as well. So lots going on with this eclipse, but really it's all about massive change that liberates you and helps you come back on track with your truth, your authenticity, and the mission that you're here to accomplish, my beautiful Leos. You also have a Parivartana yoga of Jupiter and the moon in the 12th and the 8th exchanging places. Now, I do have something to say about this in my Patreon family video that's actually quite auspicious and quite a blessing. But in the traditional sense of the word of Parivartana, mutual exchange, in the Vedic system, this is not considered to be the most auspicious Parivartana. Parivartana yogas are always considered to be a blessing, but there are different levels of blessing, and this is the lowest one. It is a Danya yoga, an exchange between a Dusthana house lord and another Dusthana house lord in this case. And this means that it's like, probably liken it to labor pains. Yes, blessing is available out the other side, but you got to push. You got to push that baby out, or you have to, work with the energy and time your contractions and breathe. This isn't just a sit back and watch Netflix situation. My Leo friends, it is time for working if you want to see the outcome. And if you choose not to work to get to an eventuality that you desire, well, that's okay. But you will most likely let this opportunity pass you by. Parivartana yoga is a blessing, but when it's a Danya Parivartana yoga, you have to work for it. You have to work for it. So what do you need to work for that you want to see manifest in your life? Maybe you need to, start looking around at where you want to move to and start making offers on real estate if you want to have a new house. Maybe, sitting back and waiting for it to fall in your lap is not going to be the answer. Parivartana yoga, that requires some effort to be put in. Otherwise, you'll miss the energy and it'll pass you by. Now, my Leo friends, like I said, I have so much more to tell you about the yogas relevant to your sign that are forming as a part of this eclipse energy and the ruler of this eclipse and what it's going to be doing for you in my massive extended Patreon family all signs video that I do for every single eclipse that we have. There's always more at Patreon. So to join my precious Patreon family, simply head to the link in the description below. And heads up, guys, I am sharing 2 courses from my Royal Stars Academy, the course on eclipses and the course on the nodes. All up, these are 20 hours long, and they are available at a very heavily discounted price for eclipse season only. So if you want to make the most of this and learn some really juicy astrology, simply go to the Learn Astrology page before this opportunity ends. And now, for all my Leo Patreon members, it's time for us to dive deeper with your sign. We are moving to Cancer. Cancer rising, sun and moon people. Hang on to your hat, Cancer. This is going to be special. We are having the eclipse forming in the auspicious 9th house for Cancer rising, sun and moon people. This is happening on the 7th or the 8th of September, depending where you are in the world, at 15 degrees of Pisces. Now, when we have an eclipse in the 9th house, it means we're reaching, especially a lunar eclipse, full moon eclipse, the end of the line with an outdated belief system. Something that you've carried for a while, something you've aligned with for a while about, morality or ethics or something. It's now time to broaden your horizons, your ethics and your morals, and the universe is going to help you do it through circumstances out there. So the inner is going to change and the external will change in response. So life is going to get very different now. It's a culmination of this old experience, old belief system that is happening. But not only that, because it's with the north node of the moon, there's going to be some new energy entering in. New beliefs, new ideologies, new philosophies that you're going to align with. I've seen this happen with David. He has written a couple of books about how the constellations and the stars and the myths have to do with psychology. And I see David moving more and more away from that concept, that belief, that philosophy now, and embracing a new perspective on that whole energy. And it's quite profound to see it happening, to be honest. So that's the kind of thing we're looking at here. Oh, rubbing my third eye, golly. That's the kind of thing that we're seeing happen, Cancer. We're going to be seeing a shift in our foundational beliefs, really. There could also be a connection to another culture that is ending now for many Cancer people. Maybe, you've spent some time in a certain country and maybe it's time for that to wrap up and come to an end. Maybe, you have immersed yourself in some sort of cultural situation where you live, but because of the nature of the political things that are happening in the world, that culture is about to fizzle out and a new culture is taking its place. So culture is shifting and changing, ending and being replaced with something else right now on a large scale. For many people who have Cancer, rising, sun or moon, they're going to notice this more than ever. And the reason Cancer will notice this more than ever is because Cancer is patriotic. They want to maintain the traditions, and that's beautiful, and I love that energy. But it's so hard when to see this happening when the world is shifting so drastically, so fast, by intention and by design, I might add as well. Anyhow, enough of that. But culture, something culturally is ending and being dissolved away and let go of now, and something new is going to take its place. Cancer people will feel this very strongly. There might be the end of a relationship with a teacher or a guide or some kind of inspirational figure, or even a father figure in your life might go through some sort of shift or change. In Vedic astrology, the father is seen through the 9th house rather than the 10th. So it might be the true character of your father is revealed and you're quite shocked at what you find, better or worse. It could be a teacher that you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize they thought that or that they felt that. And how do I feel about my, aligning with them as my teacher now that I know something about their character? We could be very surprised. Some inspirational figure that we're like, whoa, hold your horses, hang on, I'm not sure if that's where I'm at. True character of a 9th house person is revealed. There could be some random event that happens as well that gets heightened under this eclipse, some random event of an international flavor that really rocks your world, that changes everything for you. There could also be some heightened intuition that you tap into. This is the house of messages from the divine. So trust your hunches now. Your psychic capacity, your intuition is really on fire, Cancer, and I would really lean into whatever the spirit is putting on your heart and soul and mind right now. Trust it. The North Node with an eclipse like this carries the energy of Uranus, and so there could be something very surprising that happens if you have been married before once and you're currently single. It could be that you suddenly fall in love with somebody from a different culture due to this eclipse and its energy. North Node with the energy of Uranus bringing a surprise in the house of second partnerships, second love relationships. So that could happen for some people, not for everybody, but for some people that might be the case for Cancers. But I do also see some favors and benefits from women coming your way. So some sort of inspirational figure or teacher is benefiting you, is favoring you in some capacity. That could really change your world and be a blessing for you going forward in the next 6 months and even beyond the next 6 months. So also popularity is one of the hallmarks of this particular eclipse. And when it's occurring in the 9th house of fortune, we get popularity and fortune, popularity and fame and good fortune comes our way. This is because the 9th house is the 5th and the 5th, and the 5th house rather is the house of celebrity. So we get extra popularity with this combination of energy. So for some Cancer people, you could be suddenly thrust into the spotlight, or the message that you've got from the gods is well received by the universe or by people out there, and they embrace it. Something beneficial in that sense could happen. It's liberating for you to experience that, and by speaking your truth, speaking your message, 9th house energy, you actually might really liberate yourself and guide yourself back to your true heart, your true ethics, your true morals. But by speaking it out there, that's where the difference comes. That's where the change occurs. Now, if a full moon or a lunar eclipse, as it is for Cancer people, occurs in your 9th house, you could feel actually more and more connected with the divine, more connected with your spirituality. You grow more from a spiritual perspective under this influence, and you really start to discern and realize how your belief system actually affects who you are as a person, and makes you, do what you do, and gives you a sense of dharma and meaning and purpose in life. And so there can be realization around this topic, because I believe this, that's why I've been interested in doing X, Y, Z. But you know what? My belief systems are changing now, and I no longer want to do X, Y, and Z. That's not my mission or purpose anymore. I want to change it and shift it to this X, Y, Z. So if you find that this lunar eclipse affects you positively, you might go even further, dig deeper into it and really start to embrace these new ideas, this new spirituality, this new message coming through from spirit for you. This growth could be starting in your mind and really affecting your level of intelligence in a benevolent way. So you might decide you want to study something. So you're changing and letting go of old paradigms and thought processes around morals and ethics and so on. And the new that comes in could be, I want to study something new, this new philosophy, this new idea, this new program, this new project. So really there's the finishing up of a program of study or a writing or a moral, ethical belief system that allows in a new program of study, a new chance to write something new. David is a Cancer person, and he did start a book probably about 6 months ago. I can see him under this energy with what I've just talked about, saying, look, that doesn't fit the paradigm I'm into right now any longer. I'm going to scrap that idea, that writing project. I'm going to end that, and I'm going to begin a new one. Absolutely. My David, he writes wonderful books about the universe and the perspective on ancient cultures and how they influence us in this day and age. If you haven't checked out my husband's books, do go to I was going to say my website, theundyingstars.com. You will find a list of all of his books there. They're fabulous. But growing mentally often leads to growing personally. So there's a connection between mind and spirit that becomes much stronger because of this eclipse now. And of course, as within, so without, that then affects the fortune and the joyfulness that we are having in our life. So I think a lot of you Cancer people are going to experience more joy, more luck, more fortune. And if you have a legal dealing, any complications with that might end now. There might be, if you've been having visa issues or complications with any international travel and so forth, this eclipse could bring about the wrapping of that situation up. No more issues, no more complications, no more difficulties. You'll be expanding your worldview, and travel's going to allow you to do that. This could indicate that you will get an opportunity to travel within the next 6 months to another culture or to a faraway place. And it's going to expand your worldview. It's going to help you see things from a new perspective. It's going to broaden your ideas and your imagination. So lots to welcome in with regard to 9th house themes for this eclipse. Yeah, you're going to see a lot of progress. This is the house of adventure that grows our soul. So many adventures might be available to you. Now, whether they're far away, distant, trekking in the Sahara, climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, whatever it looks like, it may not be anything as big as that. It could be just adventures in your hometown. You go to a restaurant you've never been to before, and you're like, wow, this is my new favorite place. I never even knew this was here. And my world feels like it's just got a little bit bigger, broadening of your life through having a new adventure, a new experience, getting out there and getting invested in life. You might be also more open to having fun as a result of this eclipse in an adventurous way, one that allows you to learn something, and it's less about, oh, I must do this, or this is I'm going to be social with a purpose. No, it's much more about, let's do this because it's joyful, because it's an adventure, because it's exciting. That's where a lot of this energy is leading you, and why not? Why not? So there's liberation through having adventures. There's liberation guiding you back to your truth in exploring and expanding your horizons and taking on new perspectives, new worldviews. Parivartana Yoga is forming here between 9th house lord and the 1st house lord. And this is particularly wonderful because this is like the top of the tree for Parivartana yogas or mutual exchanges. It is a Maha Parivartana yoga, and it is the exchange of two trinal lords, but also the 1st house is a trinal lord and an angular lord as well. So in one sense, it's a Raj yoga and it's a Danya yoga for wealth. Fantastic. So for Cancer people, you've really got it going on. You really got it going on with this. This is very auspicious, this Parivartana yoga, and it can give a lot of success in the short term that leads to much flourishing and success and prosperity in the long term in your life. So triggering much fortune, much blessing, much opportunity. Very exciting, Cancer. Now, I want to just mention that I do talk more about other yogas that are forming for you, and believe me, Cancer has some really good ones that are available to you in my extended Patreon family reading for all signs. I explore the rulers of this particular eclipse and the yogas forming for this eclipse, as well as like a multitude of other things pertinent to your sign. So all you've got to do is join my Patreon family to get the goodies. And heads up, Cancer, I am actually sharing my 2 courses, one on the eclipse, one on the nodes from the Royal Stars Academy with everybody here. And it's available they are available at heavily discounted prices just for eclipse season. And you're going to get 20 hours of the most amazing astrological information all about eclipses and nodes. All you've got to do is go to the Learn Astrology page and sign up before this opportunity is over. But for now, all my Patreon members, time to dive deeper. Moving along to Gemini rising, sun and moon people. Well, Gemini, the eclipse is forming on an angle from your rising sun or moon sign. Whoopsie. And that means that it's going to be very powerful. You will feel this very strongly. Whenever something's on an angle, it manifests more powerfully. So this is happening on the 7th or the 8th of September, depending where you are in the world, at 15 degrees of Pisces in your 10th house. This is the axis of the parents, and it indicates that something's going to be changing in the lives of one of your parents, either your father or your mother, the parent usually that wears the pants, because the eclipse is in the 10th house. Potentially, there could be some issues associated with the mother-in-law as well. Now, because it's a full moon, something is finishing up and ending with the parents or the mother-in-law. Also because the full moon is with the north node, something new is coming in. So where one thing concludes, the north node hungrily brings in something new to replace it. So you're not going to be sort of left with a sort of a destitute energy when something ends. It's like, yep, that can go, and I'm bringing this in. Also, potentially a very significant or powerful woman will be involved in your life in some way, Gemini, and that could catapult you into greater and perhaps unexpected worldly success and recognition as well. So this is the full moon energy is the energy, lunar eclipse energy, that is going to bring benevolent women into your life, favors and benefits from women. And in the 10th house, like bosses and authority figures, or prime ministers who are women benefit you, or something. Big influential people who are women bless your life, Gemini. So you might end up with a client who's a very notable and very famous woman, or you might, get an opportunity to go on someone's podcast, a famous woman's podcast, or something like that. It can generate new positions of leadership for you that come your way, but it might also indicate that something needs to end for that to happen. So, maybe you've had a career that looks like XYZ, and along comes this eclipse and you realize you need a change. You want different kind of leadership, you want different kind of recognition, you want a different kind of reputation, so you shift. Maybe you move from a management role in a certain industry into a management role in another industry as a part of this eclipse dynamic. Now, that can happen during the eclipse activation period, but it may also occur over the next 6 months as this eclipse plays out. But it's certainly the end of the line with one way of doing career and one way of obtaining success for you as you discover perhaps the career of your dreams or move into a new career energy. You will be more sensitized to your public image and your reputation now. So do watch out for gossip or difficult news about your reputation. That can sometimes happen when we have an eclipse in the 10th house. But generally speaking, this eclipse energy is that of popularity. So you might be becoming much more popular, more recognized, more seen in the world in some way that really changes your life. And of course, some sort of random event might happen as well that triggers that kind of energy. Random event at work or in career or out in the public realm, Like I said before, somebody might ask you on their podcast or ask you on their YouTube channel for an interview, and it changes everything, changes your whole dynamic. Now, your career and life path could be affected by this full moon lunar eclipse that makes you pay more attention than normal to what you're doing in the world. So you might get inspired to have a new dharma, new purpose, new meaning, and a new job, new career. People might see you as the only person for the job, and they might headhunt you now. It's difficult to hide yourself when you have an eclipse in the 10th house, and you probably don't want to. Promoting yourself might be really good right now, so put yourself out there publicly. Make sure that people know who you are and that you are available if that's something that you want for yourself. Let other people know about your accomplishments. Don't be shy. This is it's not the house of self-valuing, but it is the house of our reputation. How are people going to know your capacity if you're not making it public? You can't expect people to be mind readers. So do let other people know that, hey, you're available, you're capable, and this is you, and you're putting yourself out there. Now, many of you might decide to go in a new career direction, Gemini, quite suddenly. This is a very quick kind of energy of change when the Rahu is so close to the moon. So you might be offered something new. You might actually just decide, this is not for me anymore, I want to do this. Just have something lined up. I don't want anybody watching this video to be left out to dry. So make sure that you've got one thing to jump to if you need to jump. But it could come in quite suddenly. You're evaluating your commitment to your long-term goals, and you realize that's not really where you want to be anymore. So, hey, I'm going to go to this now. So you want to pursue something new, something fresh. I mean, look, Gemini energy is mutable. So is Pisces, where the eclipse is forming energy. Mutable energy wants change and wants improvement. It's always improving on what has been. That's just mutable energy. So definitely for Gemini people with this eclipse in the 10th house, it's a time of improving your career and making it greater than what it has been, moving it forward in some way. Now, sometimes authority figures can be a little bit frustrating under an eclipse energy. Could be a boss, could be a parent, they might, But generally speaking, with this eclipse chart, it is benevolent. You've got a trine from Jupiter, and I think bosses and authority figures are more likely to give you favors and support and blessing than anything else. So the public also will be looking at you right now. Don't make a fool of yourself. This is a time for showing up with integrity because the public will see what you do and see how you behave. I also think that perhaps the true character of a boss, true character of an authority figure might be revealed. It might be quite surprising. You might have thought they were one thing and now you realize there's something else. That could be for better or worse. Certainly, I had a friend who had this happen to them. They had worked for someone for 20 years and then under some difficult energy, they realized, hang on a minute, that person was not who I thought they were, and I've known them for 20 years. So that can happen with an eclipse being triggered in the 10th house of particularly bosses, authority figures, rulers, governance, etc. And where one boss or one career ends, something new will be brought into your life because of the North Node energy that is like Uranus that is playing out as part of this. And it will be liberating. The new boss will be guiding you back to your true authenticity and your purpose and your meaning for life. The new career will really feel like jumping in where you need to be and making life work for you in a way that floats your boat and is really you. The final thing I want to mention here for Gemini people is that there's a Parivartana yoga forming between the 2nd house and the 10th house. This is particularly auspicious because it's exchanging energies between a money house and a angular house. So it's what we call a Dharana yoga for prosperity and wealth, to have an exchange like this forming. Here's the 10th house, here's the 2nd house, and the ruler of the 2nd goes into the 10th, and the ruler of the 10th goes into the 2nd. Mutual exchange. So this is great. This can bring lots of blessing. The seeds you plant now will be very auspicious and flourishing and blossoming for the long term. The investments that you make, the career moves you undertake, the connections with influential people and authority figures are really able to bring you a lot of positive manifestation for the long term, particularly over the next 6 months, my beautiful Gemini friends. Now, that said, I have a lot more to tell you about the yogas that are forming for your sign at my Patreon family. I have a massive extended Patreon family all signs reading that is now available, and we will explore the rulers of this particular eclipse and the yogas that are affecting this particular eclipse pertinent to your sign, as well as so much more available in the extended version. There's just like so much juicy astrology there. To join my precious Patreon family, all you've got to do is go to the link in the description. And heads up, my friends, I am sharing also at my Learn Astrology page 2 courses, one on eclipses, one on the nodes. They're heavily discounted. They come from my Royal Stars Academy course. They're about 20 hours long all up. You will love the deep dive into all things eclipses and all things nodal that I go into in that video, or those courses, I should say. So head to the Learn Astrology page before this special offer is over. And for all my Patreon family members, it's time for us to dive deeper again. Beautiful Taurus, you are up next. For Taurus, rising sun and moon people, well, the eclipse is forming in the very auspicious 11th house, a lovely place to have an eclipse. And what this will bring about is some changing dynamics with friends, usually for the good. This is quite an auspicious eclipse energy after all. And so some friends might be leaving your life now because full moons indicate culminations and endings of an old experience. So some friends might be leaving, but don't fret, because this is with the North Node, and what it's doing is saying that old friend, they've served their purpose in my life, I've served my purpose in theirs, and now I need to create space for new friends with new dynamics and new relationships with me to enter in, to help me grow beyond where I'm at. So it's a changing dynamic with friendships. It's not a hurtful dynamic, I would dare say, with friendships. There may be, you might be reaching the end of the line with regard to some of the goals that you've set in the past. The 11th house is the house of goals and dreams and aspirations, and some of them mightn't be floating your boat anymore. You might be throwing them out now and creating a whole new set of ambitions based on sudden new inspirations or intuitive downloads that come in with this eclipse energy. It could also indicate that a change or an end of the line in some way with an older sibling. If you have an older sibling, check in with them. Something might be going on in their lives. I do feel, though, Taurus, that you will encounter the right people at the right time, probably a woman who will be of great help with your dreams and goals and help you to generate more gainfulness in your life. You might meet her now, or you may already know her, but interactions during this eclipse season have the potential to be very, very fruitful with sort of maternal style women, motherly kind of women. This could really not only end a friendship, this eclipse, and if it doesn't do that, it might just end something you're working on with a friend, or an issue you've had with a friend. It might end an argument with a friend, as well as cutting ties if you're in that situation. But another thing it could do is actually elevate the relationship you have with your good friends to the next level. Spending time with each other, enjoying each other's company, feeling more like siblings than friends, where you just know each other so well, you feel like family. So this is the kind of energy where under this eclipse you might go out to a small restaurant and talk and laugh for hours, enjoying each other's company. Material things, actually, it's not that they seem less important, but just friendship has a big focus now. That is one of the key energies. And the goals and dreams that you aspire to are your goals and dreams, not because they're going to bring you a lot of money, but because you have a heart's allegiance with what's going on, and the goals and dreams that you've set yourself. So if you let go and let God and let the flow of energy come from this eclipse, you might find that a lot of things just start happening with little effort. You know, the right friends come into your life, they want to hang out with you, you're available and you enjoy yourself. The dreams and goals and aspirations that you've had now take on a new vigor and a new life of their own, new meaning, and you know, baby steps towards those goals manifesting actually come easily to you. You could also find that if you are in any groups that aren't floating your boat any longer, you might walk away from group involvements, you know, or join a new one that you feels better represents what you want to accomplish and who you are. People who are like-minded, your tribe, you're in the same state of mind with people. You might find your allegiance politically as well under this eclipse energy. You might find your tribe of people who are on the same page as you are with where things are at in the world and how to take action around current world situations. Your position in the world and how you fit in is something that becomes very important under this eclipse. So I can see a lot of you beautiful Taurus people actually aligning with something ideologically that's really going to be present in your life for the next 6 months. You may require some help or support from others now, but you find it easy to manifest those sorts of supports and connections and people that are going to be there for you, the networks that we need, the systems that we need to make life work well for us. So this is a very auspicious energy that can bring about blessing in systems and blessing in structures and blessing in the networks that we create. Don't poo-poo any of your goals and dreams that rise up in your life now. You might have some inspiration to do X, Y, Z, and you're like, oh, that'll never happen. That couldn't happen to someone like me. Don't do that, because by doing that, you're throwing cold water over the eclipse energy. You don't want to do that. You want to run with it. Dive deeper into your goals and dreams. See what would come of maybe dabbling in that, pursuing that goal and dream. You might be really pleasantly surprised. Remember, this eclipse energy brings about random events and new unfoldings in our life that really float our boat. It's not just friends that will happen with, but it could also be your goals and dreams as well. You actually have the ability to handle whatever inspiration the universe sends your way with this. And also, because it's with the North Node, this eclipse has an energy of surprise. And in this case, benevolent surprise. It's being trined by Jupiter. Good news, lucky breaks with a goal, with a dream, with your rewards and gains, with a friendship circle. Really, this eclipse is so liberating for you, my Taurus friends. It's going to help guide you back to your truth and give you more meaning and purpose going forward into the future. There is also a Parivartana yoga forming, and this yoga is forming between the 3rd house lord and the 11th house lord. Jupiter is the lord of the 11th house in the 3rd, Moon is the lord of the 3rd house in the 11th. Now, this is sort of the mediocre Parivartana yoga. There are 3 different kinds. They're all auspicious, but there's a different level of auspiciousness. This is the mid-range, if you like. And what it means when we have this Kala yoga, it's because the 3rd house lord is involved, and the 3rd house is the 8th from the 8th. So it tends to mean upheaval and challenge and difficulty before the good stuff arrives. But the good news is that with this Kala Parivartana yoga, that you will achieve what it is you want to achieve. the blessing over the next 6 months that this Padavatana Yoga heralds, but you'll have to be courageous about it. You'll have to stick to your guns, you'll have to, really believe in what you're doing and have courage about what you want to achieve. So don't give up. Hear my voice in your ear saying, you can do this, you've got this, you've got the courage to make it happen. The universe has given you the ability to handle whatever it sends your way. There are benefits coming because of this energy. So hang in there with the Padavatana Yoga, the Kala Padavatana Yoga, because I see good things and good auspicious material gain coming as a result of this energy, my beautiful Taurus friends. And speaking of yogas, which is planetary formations in Vedic astrology, I have a massive extended Patreon family all signs reading that is now available. And in it, we will explore, amongst many other things, the rulers of this eclipse and the yogas that this eclipse forms pertinent to the sign of Taurus. So to join and find out all about that, simply join my Patreon family. The link's in the description below. And also, heads up, I'm sharing my 20-hour Royal Stars Academy courses in the eclipses and the nodes. These are heavily discounted for everybody for eclipse season. If you want to know all about a deep dive or do a deep dive into the eclipses and the nodes like never before, go to the Learn Astrology page before this special opportunity is over. And now, for all my Patreon members, it's time to dive deeper into Taurus and eclipse energy. And lucky last, our Aries rising sun and moon people. Thank you for being here, Aries. You know what? This eclipse that's forming on the 7th or 8th of September, depending on where you are in the world, is occurring for you in the 12th house. So this is an important time. Hang on to your hat, Aries. There could be so many psychic downloads that come with this watery energy, this Padavatana energy, that it could absolutely blow your mind. This is a highly prophetic placement to have the eclipse. Don't discount anything that comes through now, and expect that the universe is going to guide you with visions and dreams. The universe may even give you miracles that unfold in your life, Aries, at this time. Now, with this eclipse, it is a full moon eclipse, and that indicates that something is finishing from the past. Now, in the 12th house, that indicates an old habit, an old belief, an old behavior, maybe some childhood trauma, some psychological wound. It's a very powerful time for letting it go, consciously or unconsciously. There's an ending here, but when we end something with the full moon conjunct with the North Node, something comes in to take its place, something good, something better, something that we're actually hungry for. So it could be a miracle healing that occurs. It could be a divine influence or a divine opportunity that comes your way. It could be an increased sense of joy that comes in to replace the trauma or the wound. So lots of good stuff now, the freedom, the liberation. This is very much an energy of guiding you back to your truth and letting go of the things, the blockages, the energy blocks that have been holding you back, Aries. So I really feel it's the end of the line for something from the past, but something new comes in to give you a joy and a happiness. Now, you might need to isolate for a time to cope with the heightened energies. Maybe if you're processing an old trauma, there's a need to just have some, a pajama day or soak in the bath or something. Take the time that you need to rest, to sleep, to escape in healthy ways, Aries. It's just a sensible thing to do when this powerful eclipse is at play. And as I said, there's miraculous healing that can occur. The divine touches your life in some way and you're never the same. Healing an old debt, healing an old hurt, healing a physical ailment, healing some sort of hang-up that you've had. Lots of healing. This is a beautiful energy in Pisces, this gorgeous, gorgeous eclipse energy. Now, a full moon or a lunar eclipse in the 12th house, like I said, can force us to deal with subconscious problems. So it's actually a good time to get some therapy, to process our emotions, especially as the moon is the trigger with a full moon eclipse, to sort of really go deep, doing some past life regression work or some deep psychological uncovering, going down into things that are kept hidden inside you, secrets inside you that could bubble to the surface now under this eclipse energy. So allow yourself to get in touch with your internal issues. And by doing so, you're better able to heal and have space for more joy, like we've already described. So don't suppress anything now. You might like to journal. You might like to do dance therapy, music therapy, art therapy. You might like to have a coffee and talk things out with a friend now. Any kind of therapy is highly recommended with this energy. But I said get together with a friend. You may like to do that. That may work for you. But you might also like to spend some time alone, just journaling, pondering, being in nature, reflecting, digging, and recharging. You know, it's not really a placement for being in the spotlight, I've got to say, the 12th house. You might want to stay more in the background at this time for the next 6 months even. And that's okay. There's a season for everything, a time for everything. Get plenty of sleep. Observe your dreams. Learn from what you dream about, what the spirit is trying to say to you. You might get a lot of lucid dreams coming through now, my Aries friends. It's acting out for you everything that you can't put a voice to. You know, it doesn't mean that dreams are literal, but there's messages in our dreams, figurative representations of what is what process we're going through emotionally. So do try and avoid being overly stressed as much as you can for the next 6 months, and certainly for the next month while we're in eclipse activation season. And of course, the 12th house is a charitable energy. So the more that you can offer assistance and help to other people, the better you can feel about your life by tapping into positive, high vibrational 12th house energy. You may also receive charity from people, benefits from women can come your way with this lunar energy. A random event of somebody who just supports you, is there for you. You don't even maybe not know who it is, and they might be really stepping in to help you in some tangible way, or even in a spiritual way. You may not even know who's praying for you, who's meditating on your behalf, who's sending good vibes to the divine for you, with you in mind. But this is certainly an energy of this eclipse, benevolent eclipse energy. Now, Aries, what I am seeing here is a Parivartana yoga forming between the 4th house and the 12th house lords. They're exchanging places. Now, when we have a Dusthana house involved in some kind of a Parivartana, it actually is probably makes it the weakest expression of Parivartana. So Parivartana is very auspicious. It always is. But there's levels of auspiciousness, and this one's kind of the lowest level of auspiciousness. What it means is that you are going to, if you want to have achievement and success from anything coming up in the next 6 months or so, you're going to have to put in the effort. You know, it's not just going to land in your lap. It's like having a baby. You've got to push. You've got to work with those labor pains that are occurring to get that baby out. That's what it's like. If you just sit there and don't do anything, then nothing comes of it. Or you end up exhausted for no good reason. But the more you work with things, the more you can achieve the outcome. So really it's dependent on you, my beautiful Aries friends. If you want to achieve something, the energy is there for you to utilize, but you've got to work with it. You've got to put the effort in. Don't just expect things to just land in your lap. And if you work with it, because the 12th house is involved, I do believe a miracle can happen. You might be very surprised and delighted with the overall outcome of whatever it is you want to see manifest. And in that case, it could be a 4th house thing or a 12th house thing. I'll talk more about those sorts of energies when we go into the Patreon family review. And on that topic, there are more yogas that I explore. Yogas are planetary combinations for all signs, and especially for yours, Aries, in my massive extended Patreon family all signs reading that's available now. We will explore the rulers of the eclipse and the yogas related to your sign for this eclipse, and so much more. So to join my precious Patreon family, all you've got to do is go to the link in the description below. And heads up, Aries, I am also sharing my 20-hour all-up Royal Stars Academy courses on eclipses and the nodes. Now, this is massive, and it's such a deep dive into everything you could possibly want to know about eclipses and about the nodes. I've heavily discounted it just for eclipse season, so go to the Learn Astrology page and make the most of this special opportunity before eclipse season is over and you miss out. And now for all my Patreon members, let's dive deeper into Aries energy.